I've never been in an accident, but maybe you have. And if you have, you need to call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. First of all, your case evaluation is completely free. They don't get paid until you get paid, and they should be the first call you make after a motorcycle accident. And I'll tell you why. Because they fight for you, the motorcycle rider, and your family to get you the compensation you deserve. With over 20 years of experience, they're going to handle your case with the respect and dignity you deserve. The insurance company wants to get away with paying out the lowest settlement they can as quickly as they can. With the Law Tigers, you don't have to handle your motorcycle case alone. So why should you hire Law Tigers after an accident? They can help you get your motorcycle and gear repaired or replaced. Law Tigers knows how important your motorcycle is to you, so after you've been in an accident, give them a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, that's 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
Kick off summer by checking out the incredible showroom at Toyota of Kirkland. With a wide selection of Camrys on the lot, including the brand new 2025 Hybrid Camry, along with the new inventory of Tundras and Tacomas. All with a lifetime powertrain warranty, you're in for a summer to remember. The unbeatable team at Toyota of Kirkland will set up your test drive, and you can take that car home the same day. Get your summer groove on at Toyota of Kirkland or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien.
Ditch the glasses and contacts and see life better with King LASIK. It's quick, painless, and you can be seeing 20/20 the very next day. Plus, this month you'll save $1,000. Start with a free Zoom consult at kinglasik.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners dropped a sixth consecutive three-game series, their third at home, and this offense is looking ugly. We'll be talking about what we think is going on in 1 minute, but first, two other quick updates around the sports world. After turning down the Lakers gig, UConn coach Dan Hurley has agreed to a 6-year, $50 million extension. That's at the collegiate level. Let's go to the pros. NBA stars prepping for the Olympics. Anthony Edwards full of confidence, saying he's the #1 option on Team USA.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. Bump, how was yours?
It was good. It was good. Lots of golf was played. Fireworks were blown up. My sister-in-law is getting married. Congratulations, Stacy. And the family she's marrying.
Your sister-in-law's name is Stacy?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Exciting.
I didn't know you knew another Stacy. You never told me.
She doesn't. She spells with an E though, so you're good.
Oh, okay.
But so she's marrying into this family, and they taught us that we were doing fireworks completely wrong.
What?
For 15 years.
How so?
And they fuse them all together.
It's a pretty easy concept.
Hang on.
And light it. I mean, it's crazy.
Bombs is what you're saying.
Pretty much. They created a show. Like, they put together maybe 25 fireworks, and we sat there and watched them go off for like 8 minutes straight. It was crazy.
Wow. See, here's the thing. That sounds incredibly dangerous, but also very cool. Like, I don't mess with it. I don't try it. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to touch any of them. But also, if I go to a party like that, I'm okay with it.
I was sitting back having a beer, watching the show.
Wow,
it was fun though. How was yours?
Nice. Mine was good. I did not bring a salad to the cookout. I thought about it. I wanted to do it, but you, Bump, and then listeners all convinced me otherwise on Friday. I had like 50 texts into the Mac and Jack's text line being like, Stacy, do not bring a Caesar salad to this 4th of July cookout. So I didn't. Instead, we just brought beers.
There you go.
I know. And it was great. I had a ton of fun. We played dominoes. It was beautiful outside.
Stacy was at a cookout for real.
Like a cookout.
Dominoes?
Yeah, I was at the Domino's table. I did not win, but I did not come in last.
Good.
So I think I did us as a show proud, you know?
Thank you for repping.
Yeah, Curtis, you have a good 4th?
Yeah, we had a good 4th. Went to a little street fair thing in Auburn with the kids. Lasted a couple hours in the heat. And then came home. And we tried to do sparklers, and our oldest, Willa, who's 3, wanted no part of it. None whatsoever.
Heck yeah.
Just the sight of a spark really sent her into some big feelings.
Willa's got the right attitude. She's going to be a kid afraid of skipping class.
Yeah.
And I like that.
So we put the sparklers away and then just hunkered down the rest of the night.
Matt, I know you're excited to be back with all of us and always in such a beautiful mood. How was your 4th?
Oh, it was great. Me and Bump went golfing. We drank. It was just fun. Just a great weekend.
These two best friends. I love that. You know what? I'm sure Bump would love to take you golfing now. Would you accept?
Golfing?
Just drive the cart, drink the beer. I'll do the golfing.
I don't drink and drive, Bump. I'm sorry. I'm too much of a goody two-shoes for that.
All right, well, let's talk about this Mariners offense. I was trying to put it off for as long as I could. I got 4 minutes out of us. There we go. But we do have to talk about it, and I promise that this hour in which we're talking about the Mariners is not all going to be negative. I swear. They are still in first place. We have some fun stuff to talk about at 10:45. We're also taking your calls at 11. At 11, you're going to answer the question that we're talking about right now. Who's to blame for this Mariners offense? I wrote, the onus for this offense lies with who? We got a couple of different choices, Bump. Players, the park, ownership, coaching, front office. You're someone who I know, and I'll let you sound off about this because I already know where it's going to go. You, as a former player, as a coach, as a trainer, always look at who's doing the executing of a task.
Right. Yeah, it comes down to the players, man. Now, ownership or the management put this team together. And if this team were who they were supposed to be, I think they'd be in a different place. We feel better about them. But I always look at the players and say, man, with runners on, you gotta bring them in a full count, man. Let's not strike out. Let's not chase, like swing at good pitches. The players got to execute. But then I also look at it from a different angle. At Martin Stadium in Pullman, Washington State, where I play, it's an East-West stadium. All right, when we have games at kickoff at noon, I know around 1:30, when they punt the football to me and the sun is setting in the west, it's going to be hard for me to see. Like, there are some factors. I know that I'm going to play in games where it's going to snow, where it's going to hail, it's going to be cold. So the environment is a factor. So, yes, I put the onus on the players, but then I had to go deeper and look at, okay, tell me about this Dane ballpark. I keep hearing about T-Mobile, Marine Layer, that's gone, and all this other stuff. So I looked up in StatCast, right? At T-Mobile, now this is both teams that play there, the Mariners or whoever they're playing, all right? It's last in the league when it comes to producing doubles. It's last in singles. It's last, or 18th in home runs, last in on-base percentage, last in park factor, last in hits produced overall. So a lot of people always say, like, look, other teams hit at T-Mobile. Yeah, they do, but not as well as they do on the road. So the ballpark is a factor, all right? I'm not making an excuse. This is what the numbers are saying. It is the hardest ballpark to hit in there, that in the Giants ballpark as well. So that's a factor. But it all comes down to these guys. But I'm seeing these guys in these situations, and they're pressing. They don't seem comfortable. They don't seem confident. And the longer this goes on, the more concerned I get because it starts to compound. I remember one time I had a practice where I dropped like 2 or 3 passes, and I go, do I not have hands anymore? Like, what's going on? Why am I dropping these passes? So the more they do not execute in these clutch moments that you need them to execute in, the more concerned I get. So, yes, the ballpark is the ballpark. The numbers don't lie. It is what it is. But I look at the players and say, y'all just got to execute.
And that's exactly what Cal Raleigh's doing, is looking at himself, looking at the guys around and saying, look, eventually or ultimately, it's on us.
We got to find a way. It falls on us. Nobody but, the players. When we're in the box, it's on us. And we got to find a way to do it. Somebody's got to make adjustments. It's something we have to do. We have to make adjustments, and we got to find a way to get it done.
Now, it would be a horrible look for a player to be like, no, it's not on us. So I'll give that to Cal, right? Like, no player is going to stand in front of mics and go, you know what? I blame Jerry, or I blame the park, or I blame ownership and a budget, or I blame my manager. Like, absolutely no one is going to do that. You're a professional. You're going to say at the end of the day, it's us. And Bump, I do think that you're right. I mean, you've done this. I haven't. At the end of the day, you know, like, there is a level of accountability that must always lie with the player, no matter who that player is. No matter who he is, what his skill level is, you are being paid to be a professional. And when, as a club, you're 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position on Sunday, or courtesy of Ryan Divish, over the homestand, you're 130, hitting 130 with runners in scoring position, 28 strikeouts. That's ultimately on you guys.
The bases were loaded 3 times, and you got nothing out that deal. Absolutely nothing. I'm looking at bases loaded. Right, when the bases are loaded, the Mariners are batting .290, I believe, is what I saw. When they have runners in scoring position with 2 out, they're batting .214. And I compared those numbers with the Astros, and it made me sick. I closed the tab real quick, and I go, they're executing in those situations. Yep. These guys are not executing in those situations. You only have a 2-game lead against these guys now. Like, they're still away. Like, let's be real. They're still in first place. There's still a way for them to correct things or just fend off the Astros, and everything will be fine. It just makes it more stressful now that I got a scoreboard watch. And with a 10-game lead, I wasn't looking at nothing. Let's just focus on the team, and they do what they have to do. But as the season progresses and we start seeing the same things, I start to lean towards they're going to need some help eventually. Help meaning maybe the Astros lose 2 or 3, 4, and then you catch a couple. Maybe you get hot. Like, something has to happen. Something has to change, because we're seeing the same things over and over again. But they are still in first place.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't feel comfortable, but that's a fact.
Help being something beyond what they actually do, too. I love the idea of, like, if the Astros drop 3, I'm going to be like, look at God.
Look at him.
Look at him. Look at him work. Now, I know that for a lot of you, players might be the answer to the onus, the responsibility for a bad offense lies with who. And I also know that that's not the answer for all of you, because I'm looking at the Mac and Jack's text line, Bump, and I can see people have a lot of different answers. A couple people did agree with you that the ballpark is a factor. I forgot why I saved this person as Dr. 253. But Dr. 253 says players 90%, park 10%, which was kind of like your answer. I know that you've got some other percentage points, though, to give away, and I think that one of them does need to lie with a front office that has acquired talent in a very specific way. Ryan Divish was asked a separate question, though I think his answer also works for this. On with Brock and Salk this morning, Brock had a poll, and it was, hey, when you've got a really bad offense, is it the player, like the talent level, or is it execution? It's kind of like a similar question, but Ryan Divish had this to say.
It's a diminishing talent issue. The pieces they've added on a lot of level are fringy guys. Palanco, there's a reason why the Twins are willing to get rid of him. They preferred Edward Julian, who's now in the minor leagues, than him. And then Haniger coming off an injury and a bad season. I mean, there's a reason why those guys were available. So there were question marks as to whether they would produce. And then the approach stuff has been with Julio and CP. You know, the approach, that's an approach problem. But, like, the talent you've added to the roster, they're all, you know, they're 30-year-old guys. They're guys in their 30s other than Rayleigh.
It is the player's responsibility to try as best he can to play to the back of his baseball card. It is the responsibility of a front office to build a World Series club. And when you have a gap, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Between those two things.
It's the club's responsibility to see where that player is trending. Right, listening to Divish, it sounds like Jorge Palanco was trending in this direction. That's why they got rid of him. And we joke about this all the time. We say, "Oh, we can save him. It'll be better here.
We can fix him."
You know, and maybe that can still happen with Jorge Palanco, but it's not looking like that. Since he's been here, he's just been trending downward, and that's not where we want to go. So I think that's where management comes in, is that you have to do a better job of evaluating and projecting. Divish said, look, you're picking up guys in their 30 who are on the fringe. Forget the fringe. Let's get a younger guy who has potential. Fringe and potential are two different things. Fringe is like, you might be out the league here soon. Potential means you're showing us something that makes us believe that you're going to get better. I think they're getting the fringe guys and saying, just be who you are right now. Just hold on to what you got. And that's a scary place to be. So every year, the past 2 or 3 years, we get excited about the team because we look at the fringe player and say, if they can just be that, we'll be fine. But for some reason, you get here, they start to trend in the wrong direction, and you find yourself with a 2-game lead when it was just 10 about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that maybe a more interesting way to stretch that conversation that we've had a million times or that listeners have sent us, when we always get that point that people make, which is a fair point, about, well, why do hitters come here and struggle?
Yeah.
And it's a fair question. You and I have talked it to death and still probably have, ways to explore it. I think one of those ways is to say, okay, well, how many hitters after coming here and falling off went somewhere else and played just as bad?
Yeah.
Because that is more indicative of a front office that can't predict when talent's going to improve, that cannot foresee a complete fall off for a player, than it is of an organization that cannot help players find success when they have it within them. Like when you look at Teo going to the Dodgers, he's still striking out just as much. There's a difference of like 3 percentage points, but he's got a ton of support around him. He's playing in more hitter-friendly areas, and he's still raking. Like he's still getting a lot of home runs. Jesse Winker didn't go on and become an all-star somewhere else. The Mariners just did not correctly foresee that he was going to have a drop-off. I don't know if Jorge Polanco is going to go somewhere else and suddenly thrive. Like, I think that part 2 of did that guy go somewhere else and still fail is going to tell us more about the Mariners' ability or lack thereof to predict when a player is going to fall off.
I think there are a lot of players, or a few players, you mentioned some that went elsewhere and didn't play well. I think a couple of those guys go places where they just aren't supported. Like Teo got into the best situation out of anyone who's left this team in the last 2 or 3 seasons. He went over to the Dodgers where they got Ohtani and everybody and their mama over there who's going to hit bombs. So he's supported. You look at the best teams in the game right now. There is support up and down that lineup. The Orioles, the Yankees, I would say the Astros are trending in the right direction to support all up and down that lineup. You got to have support. You can't just get a ragtag bunch and say, all right, guys, just hold on and be who we think you're going to be. You need some potential. You need some star power, and that's what you're missing. You're missing a star power. Julio ain't been the guy that he's supposed to be. So you need a mix, star power, support, and some arms in the mound. We thought we had a superstar. Things can still change for him. There's not really support, but you do have arms of the mound. So there's just 1 or 2 things missing in this equation.
The point that neither you or I talked about, though I am seeing on the text line, is coaching. And the reason that I don't say this one first is because I don't know the degree to which coaching, you know what I mean? When I think of management, I think of bullpen decisions, lineup decisions, win-loss record, keeping a club together. I don't like Scott Service isn't out there signing players. However, when you have an entire lineup that's failing to hit, I understand why people look at that. I'm not in there, and I wish that I was. I wish I got it.
Yeah, it's Service isn't calling the offense or the defense or lining up the special teams and scheming on how to beat guys in different coverages or zone, whatever. It's just baseball. You go out there and you are in the batter's box by yourself. All your work happens before the game, after the game, spring training and all that stuff. There has to be something with the philosophy that ain't clicking, though.
Yeah.
Because baseball is baseball. I understand that the pitches are the best we've ever seen. Velocity's crazy. The spin rate is crazy. But other teams are able to hit. Other teams are able to get her done. Other teams also have better players, a more expensive roster, and support their stars in a different way. That's what's missing here. So when you combine all that, man, the players, ownership, management, the ballpark, the confidence. It's a snowball that's happening right now, and something has to stop it because it could get out of hand. But I'm going to end it like this. Still in first place. Right? There's a glimmer of hope. We're still in first place. Let's see what they do.
Bump and I at 10:45 are going to continue that part of the conversation. And then at 11, we are going to ask you guys the same question we just answered here, which is, whose fault is this? Who's most responsible for the offense we're seeing? And if you want to throw in, here's what I think they should do, you can do that as well. We're going to get back to talking about this Mariners offense coming up at 11 by taking your calls. All right now let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, Logan Gilbert was named to the American League All-Star team yesterday. What's the real headline?
Well, no bats deserved it.
Easy.
Of course it's an arm.
Easy. I mean, that was the easiest If there was a bat that snuck onto this list.
Can you imagine?
I'd say, what did Trump say? Stop the vote? Or whatever the heck.
Stop the count.
Stop the count. Like, I'd be like, hold on. I love me some Mariners, but something ain't right here. There's some fraud.
Or I'd be like, don't keep looking into it. Let him be an all-star. They'd be like, this says Julio Rodriguez. Stop the count. Don't say anything else.
Leave him alone. Yeah, this makes complete sense, right? Logan has been on top of his game. 4th best ERA in the AL. 2nd best whip in the AL. 24 walks, 108 Ks. I feel most confident when Gilbert is on the mound. So, makes sense.
I don't know how to explain it, because I think that Kirby has stellar stuff, and Luis Castillo's got veteran savvy. He's been there, done that. He's been so consistent. I don't know why, Bump. If you were to ask me which Mariners arm is most likely to throw a no-hitter, I'd go with Logan. Would you?
That'd be him and Kirby right now, man.
Who would you have 1 and 2, though? If you were like, I have to put money on it.
Yeah, I go Logan.
Right? And I can't explain it. I don't know why.
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
It's that facey match.
Headline
Well, he'll pitch deep into games, too, man. When that guy's on it, he can keep, going late.
Headline number 2, top catching prospect Harry Ford made his first start in left field over the weekend. What's the real headline?
Yeah, the Mariners are trying to showcase Harry Ford's versatility as a trade prospect.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're saying, look, man, look what else he can do.
Yep.
You ever see those movies where, like, the parents wake the kids up, like, hey, show them that little dance y'all be doing. Show them the dance. You show your in-laws and your cousins, I can do it all. I think that's what's happening right here, obviously. And I like the move. It means that they are trying to devise a plan. They are setting things up for a move. Will it be a move that kind of shifts things for this ball club? Who knows? But I like the intent with this.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3. The Mariners are moving top pitching prospect Logan Evans back to Arkansas's rotation after trying him out in relief over the last few weeks. What's the real headline?
So there's 2 things to take away from this. I do have a second headline, but we call that a Brian Wu safety net. The second headline was going to be, the Mariners are trying to showcase Logan Evans' versatility. Now, Logan Evans, also obviously someone that you can trade, but they're also trying to maybe keep him, good here as a safety net for Brian Wu, who cannot stay healthy.
Yeah, and everything I heard and read is that him in the bullpen was just an experiment. They didn't see enough to say, all right, let's keep him there. Everything that he brings to the table shows that he's more fit to be a starter. So bring him back down, have him keep working and developing. And like you said, it's a safety net because we've been so fortunate this year, even with Wu being banged up, right? It's been nothing too crazy. You already lost Brash. You're waiting on Santos to get back. We'll see what happens there. But for the most part, that rotation has been intact. Wu is just struggling to stay healthy. So this is what you do. You prepare for the worst, and I think that's what's happening here.
All right, let's go back to the text line in the last couple minutes here, Bump, for a few more of these reactions, since I know not everyone here is going to be able to call in at 11. So let's see. This one is saying who's the fault for the offense? Maybe it's just an overall talent issue. 206, averaging 10 strikeouts a game. You've lost 6 straight series. The team's average, nothing more.
When they're in the batter's box, they're average. The arms are beyond average. And that's why they've been able to hang on as long as they could. And that's why there was some optimism about maybe they can change the direction of just the season and how they perform in the box. So, yeah, they're average in some ways, below average in some ways, to be honest, but above average in the other way. So it's about coming together, man. Can you just, goodness gracious, just Julio and 1 or 2 guys just catch fire for a little bit. You might feel different about this whole thing.
I'm hoping that maybe Julio getting a little bit of rest with an off day today, obviously a rest day yesterday, that maybe that does something. We'd be talking about a very different team if they were average, which we know, but also Julio by himself could have made them average. That's a lot to ask of a 23-year-old, but he's got that potential. And it's just so frustrating knowing how close they could be to being that much better. They're still in first place.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be for long if they don't start turning it around.
Now, you're paid to execute. I know he's 23, young man. Who knows what's going on in his personal life? Obviously, he's not confident in the box. I saw a beautiful breakdown on MLB Network about how he's not loading on the back leg, all this good stuff. And I'm watching the breakdowns on Julio, and it makes sense. And once you start listening to these experts and they show you a confident swing and a Julio swing, you see it. So mentally, he's just not in a good place. And you know what? I thought about this on the drive here. I go, Like, do they have mental coaches? Like, do they have psychologists on staff or whatever so they could have someone to talk to and get through these things? Because I do with athletes all the time, and sometimes it's just having a conversation, talking about the negative, highlighting the positive. Who knows, man? I'm looking for any type of reason to help this young man because for 2 seasons he showed you that he can be one of the best of the game.
From the 360, the reason I say coaching is a huge part of the problem is that all the players go to the plate and seemingly have no plan on how to execute in that bat.
Yep. No plan. Anyone I talk to my baseball guys all the time. I always use references. They go, they're pressing. They're not confident. They're trying to be the guy. All the things that you and I say and these experts say, I'm hearing from guys who are in the game right now, and they see it. And obviously, they see it on a different level than you and I. But it all makes sense. There's no confidence at the plate right now. They are struggling.
206 doesn't think it's a park issue. Ichiro broke hitting records in this park. I think it's mostly the lack of talent. Ichiro, though, is a Hall
of Famer.
You know what I mean? It's like saying, well, Griffey could hit here. And at 206, I get what you're getting at. But I think what we're looking at is, could average players or slightly above average players find as much offensive success here? And bump, your stats are, offense for everyone is suppressed here.
Yeah.
Even visiting players.
The hardest ballpark to hit.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to figure out why, because it is now July. We cannot blame the marine layer. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Also, Ichiro could just find a gap. He's special. Just truly special. We are going Mariners for the first hour, and then we're taking your calls at 11. You have 40 minutes to think about your answer to this question. Who's to blame for the Mariners' offense? You do not have to as part of your answer, but if you want to, you can also chime in with, and here's what I think they should do about it, just since I know some people like to be like, I want them to do this so badly. So if you want to add that onto your answer, you can. We're not going to cut you off for that. All right. Don't forget for the third year, Seattle Sports is partnering with the Seattle chapter of WISE. That's Women in Sports and Events, to recognize a woman in our community through the Women of Inspiration Awards. So if you know a woman who gives her all to the sports and events community, it's time to celebrate her by nominating her. You can learn more at woiseattle.org. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. We got some big questions about this Mariners roster, and we're asking them next.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Goodbye, baseball.
With voices like Rick Riz, Aaron Goldsmith, and Dave Sims.
This is a club that has the ability to go on another run.
You never know when a team is going to get hot.
This team's window is wide open.
Hear from the players and coaches, and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Dreyer.
We are seeing him comfortable with where he is at the plate. We're seeing a guy that has his timing.
The Dugout. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Other places make you pay extra for that. But at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from Les. Book your appointment at leschwab.com. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com for details.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey, Bob Stelton here, and have you heard that metal roofs are all the rage? A metal roof lasts longer, it's more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to assetroofingco.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Summer is here. If you're dealing with a pest problem, get the relief you need and the long-term protection you deserve with Issaquah Pest Control. Look, rodents and bugs can ruin your insulation or the structure of your home or business. Before it becomes a more costly issue, call Issaquah Pest Control, the fast, kind, and professional pest control service. And if you're in the pest control business or have an interest, they're hiring, so join the team. Issaquah Pest Control, serving the entire Puget Sound. IssaquahPest.com.
At 65 years old, Brian has a rather demanding hobby.
My biggest passion is snow skiing, and I ski between 70 and 80 days per year. And I ski instruct at a private resort in Montana.
Needless to say, that can be a bit tough on the joints.
When this knee started to bother me, I thought I'm doomed.
That's when Brian decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
If I did yard work or skied a few days in a row, I was fighting swelling and pain and no sleep and all sorts of problems, and that has absolutely gone away.
So are you back on the slopes?
I mean, I had a 14-day stretch with clients where I skied every day and had no problem. It was fine. It was just like, I felt like new.
So I'm guessing you would recommend this to others.
Oh, I already have. I've told everyone that'll listen.
Whether it's a shoulder, hip, or knee, before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
It's really, truly a miracle.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s, it's not that they couldn't function, they just needed help. They started taking Viagra, and it worked great at first. But after a few years, it stopped working. The problem is that their arteries had become more restricted since they started taking it, because Viagra does not unclog arteries. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we use acoustic wave therapy to target the real problem. We break down plaque and clear up the arteries so blood can flow like it did in your 20s. This restores function. And guys, listen to this. You won't have to take a pill anymore. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to my buddy Richard. Richard, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
The lady I'd been using for a couple of years left, and I had no representation. I heard the advertisements on the radio, and I just said, I got to do this. So I did, and I'll tell you, it's been happy days ever since then.
Were they able to save you money, Richard?
Yeah, it saved me about $3,500 is all.
Wow. Wow.
But I also picked up some other things. I got a personal umbrella because I've got a rental house in Idaho as well.
So what do you tell others, your friends, your family, your people you trust?
You need to call First Mark because they have top-notch customer service. Most companies offer customer no service nowadays. First Mark has the most top-notch customer service I've ever experienced, bar none.
Richard did it. My family did it. You got to go do it. It's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge. See how much money they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
You're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We got a couple questions facing the Mariners that we did not get to with our opening segment. They primarily concern the infield, but we've also got another bat we're watching here. So we're going to start with this question. Do you keep playing Palanco at second, or do you start putting more out there, move Rojas over? I mean, Bump, when you're looking at Jorge Palanco and just kind of what you do about someone that not only is not performing, but seems to just like not be in it right now. Like his confidence has to be low.
Yeah, you got to feel for the guy. You mentioned it during the commercial break, and I've seen it watching him. There's just no confidence in him right now. And what do you do with a guy like Palanco who's been in the league forever, who's shown that he can play, but just isn't getting it done? You got to. This is where service comes in moments like this. All right, what are you going to do with this lineup? We've seen some of Service's moves already, right? You move Rodriguez to 7th. You bring in Bliss, but I was out of necessity, right? Palanco was banged up. You bring him in. He has some success. You move Locklear to first base out of necessity. France was banged up. And some of those moves have seemed to work out. And what's funny about those moves is that you're replacing the older fella one of the older fellas on the roster and giving these young guys an opportunity, and they've seemed to be okay. When you are Palanco, and you're putting up these type of numbers, your career numbers. Oh, for his career, he's batting 264, 331 on base percentage, 436 slugging, 768 OPS. He's having the worst year of his career right now.
By far.
The worst. 189, 280 on base, 284 slugging, 565 OPS, a WAR of negative 0.4. Negative 0.4. You can literally put anyone else in your roster who plays second base out there, and you're going to get more out of them. This is where being a veteran can help and hurt you. It's helping him because it's allowing him to get more opportunities. Service is looking at him and saying, look, man, he's been in the league since 2014. I believe that he can figure this out. It's hurting him because now you're forcing him out there when you have some young guys who might be able to provide a spark plug for you. It's a tough position to be in if you are Service because this man deserves some respect. I know you fans that were there this weekend, you might have booed him. You're not satisfied with the way he's playing. I feel you. But he's also shown for a lot of years that he can get it done. So it's a tough place to be in, but I think at this point, man, something has to be done with this roster, and unfortunately, I'm looking at second base and saying, what are you going to do there?
I also think that what do you got to do there has to be a question Scott Service is asking himself. And Bump, I would imagine that if you're a manager of this team, you look at a guy with no confidence who's really struggling, and you think, I cannot keep putting this guy out there. Like, I need to either so he gets a message about his performance or so he gets some encouragement from just taking a couple days off.
Yep.
I need to put Dylan Moore there. Or I need to move Rojas over and put Dylan at second. Or I need to do something where Jorge Polanco is not getting regular ABs because it's not helping him. Like, we have the assumption, and this isn't wrong, that when you're struggling, more reps can sometimes help. Like, it just gets you out of that rut if you just keep, hacking away and figuring it out, and then maybe it clicks. And that's why when people are like, why keep Julio at the top of the lineup? I think that Scott Service did for the longest time because, A, your best player gets more ABs, and B, well, maybe he'll figure it out. I think we're beyond that with Polanco.
Yeah.
He needs time away.
Yeah. My golfers are gonna feel me on this one. There are times where you are playing well and everything is flowing. You're releasing the club at the right time. You can't go wrong. And then you put together 3, 4, 5 rounds where you don't know what the heck you're doing with the club. What most golfers do is they don't play for a week. They say, look, I'm just not going to play. I'm just going to center myself, enjoy my family. And then when I get back on the course, maybe things are going to work. So, yes, I like that perspective. Is sometimes you might just have to sit down. Maybe cheering from the dugout. Analyzing your game in a different way could help you. But at this point, forcing him to go out there and I feel bad for the dude,
I
man.
do too.
Because I've never been booed at my home before. And I ain't going on the road to get booed all the time. But at home, and you have the jersey on, and you're representing the city, and your fans are booing you, that's not helping the mental either. I'm not telling fans not to boo. You do what you do. That's not what I do. But it's just compounding the situation. You got to give this man a break, and maybe you start him in a week or two, and you see what happens. But if you do give one of these youngsters an opportunity, if it is Demo, if it is Bliss, and they take off, he's got to sit.
Brian Divish was on with Brock and Salk this morning and thinks that the front office is already having the conversation we're having now.
I think they've already had these discussions. I think what we'll see in the days ahead, if they don't remove Palanco or DFA him, is that he just doesn't play very much. He wasn't playing a lot anyways, but I think, you're trying to, maximize a resource, get the most out of it, until you finally decide, okay, you have to make a change. And I think a lot of fans have been past that point a while ago, but baseball teams aren't like that. They aren't reactionary to the moment. Yeah, it's been longer than a moment, but at the same time, they always try and hope for the last little bit because you've invested a lot. You planned a lot on your roster. You've tried to figure this out and set up a way you want to play. So to just walk away from it, even halfway into the season or 3/4 of the way into the season, is still something difficult for a lot of GMs and front offices.
Yeah, it must be really difficult. I think eventually, though, you need to make that decision. Maybe not to DFA, but put someone else out there for right now. You can't keep rolling them out. Let's get to our second one. Tell me what you think about this, Bump. Ty France, 9 for 55 in his last 15. That's 164, just 218 slugging. He's not doing a lot of anything. He's got 1 home run during that time. Credit him for that. But he's had an okay year in some. I mean, it's not great. It's below average, but he hasn't been the most atrocious player on the team. However, he's really slowing down since coming back from the IL. Meanwhile, you've got another option there with Tyler Locklear. Would you take the same approach with Ty France and have more of a rotation at first?
France is a tough one because as a an analyst and a fan of the team, I'm more attached to Franz because I remember the good old days with Franz. I remember him coming through clutch, and I realize what has happened in his personal life. So the person in me, a lot of people get on me because I think of these people as people. I don't just look at them as baseball players and say, hit the dang ball. I don't care what's going on at your house. Get her done. Yeah, they have to, if they're not doing the job, then things need to happen. I look at Ty France, and I think I'm getting to the point to where I'm like, maybe you need to do something there. I love Diver saying, like, you don't just react in baseball. You play 162 for a reason because you failed tremendously in this game, and it's probably the streakiest game of all time. You can be hot for a week and then cold for another week. So I'm getting to the point with France where I'm like, all right, maybe something needs to change there. But because of the history, because I remember him coming through clutch and having that all-star year and having these moments to where I'm a bit more patient with him. He's been on the squad. A guy like Palanco who came over to like uplift this team, I go, come on, man.
I don't know you like that.
You're not, right? We don't have the history that we have. But yes, everyone needs to be in question. Julio needs to be in question. He's been moved down. France is in question. Polanco's in question. If you are not helping this team win ball games, you're in question. You got 2 games. It was 10-game lead a couple weeks ago. Because it's so close now, yeah, something needs to be done. I'm not opposed to it, but I would feel some type of way if France wasn't out there.
My last question was just what do you do with Haniger? And I don't know that the answer is DFA or do anything. Like, you want to have him as an option. I think I'm going to just expand it, though. So this is less to do with a specific outfielder. Who do you just want to see more of that you feel like, man, Haniger's not performing, Polanco's not performing, Ty France is, wishy-washy. Like, I just love to see more of this guy.
Bliss and Demo. I think we've been talking about him. And great thing about Demo, you put him anywhere out there.
Yeah,
he can play.
Put him in the outfield.
Put him behind the plate. See what he does. No, really, but Demo. But Demo, he can do anything. So it's Demo and Bliss. That's easy for me. Those guys, they play with a spark and a passion that I think this team is missing at this point. Those are the two. Who are the two or guys that you put out there?
Those are the two for me, and I think I'll also throw on that they're both great base runners.
Yeah.
And last week we had people saying, why not small ball? Why not small ball? And we took a listen to some Mike Blauer sound saying, hey, you're not really a club that's built for that. If you were, though, you need guys to be able to steal bags. Like, if you get on first, the point is to get more base runners and move those base runners. Guys that can steal bags are really valuable with that kind of offense. Those two are speedy. They're 2 of your fastest players. Bliss, certainly. So yeah, I think that that would entice me as well. And yeah, I concur on that one. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. We're going to stick with the Mariners at 11. We're welcoming your guys' calls. We are giving you the mic. I mean, you'll be on your phone, but you will have the mic. Who's to blame for the Mariners offense? And if you want to throw on, and here's what I would do about it, you can do that too. You don't have to have an answer. I don't, as to why they're striking out all the time and why some of this is happening, but I do have my thoughts on who's responsible for that. Who's to blame for the Mariners offense? Why is it looking so atrocious? What needs to happen? That's coming up at 11. Before we get to it, we need to inject just a tiny bit of positivity into this conversation. Don't go anywhere.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Pound for pound, I don't think there's a harder hitter in the NFL than Devin Witherspoon. Well, the other guy, the pound for pound, was the most violent physical dude in the league for a long time, Earl Thomas. And Earl Thomas found a way to pick and choose his spots. And when he was absolutely going to uncoil and cut the legs out and knock Gronk into another planet, Devin Witherspoon's got that tool in his bag. He's got that club he can play out at Sahali, and I love it.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Savings Event going on right now through July 21st. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Savings Event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Are you constantly dealing with a runny nose, nasal congestion, or stuffiness? Always having to clear your throat or coughing? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Rhine Air is a simple, non-invasive procedure that can significantly reduce your symptoms. This long-lasting treatment is available here in my office. In a clinical study, 88% of Rhine Air patients experienced a significant reduction in their symptoms. We're proud the Stern Sinus Center was recently named a nationwide center of excellence. Schedule your appointment in Auburn or Federal Way or go to sternsinus.com.
Presenting A Gain Flings Love Story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Almost everyone knows that Wild Wheat Bakery in Kent is a great spot for your favorite coffee drinks. With beans from around the world roasted to perfection right on site, handmade artisan bread and pastries, and mouth-watering breakfasts. But did you know Wild Wheat Bakery is now serving lunch? Delicious salads, pasta, burgers, and more. Come in today and enjoy our stylish dining room with family and friends. Wild Wheat Bakery in Kent. So much to discover.
RiversideRoofingLLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to RiversideRoofingLLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Do you know a woman who gives her all to the sports community, encourages diversity, and empowers those around her? Stacey Rost here. Seattle Sports is once again partnering with the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events. We want to recognize a woman in our community, and we need your help finding her. Nominations for the 3rd Annual Women of Inspiration Award are open until July 12th. The winner will receive a donation to the cause of their choice. Nominate an inspiring woman at woiseattle.org.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
2 things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV. Choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
Summer's here. Now's the best time to transform the exterior of your home or business with a fresh coat of paint. But it can be time-consuming if you do it yourself. Do what I did and call the pros at CertaPro Painters. Ursula Broytine here. CertaPro did a fantastic job on our home. We were so happy we had them do a second project. Now it's your turn. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters. That's CertaPro.com.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we are opening up phone lines. So get ready to call in. Do not call yet. You're going to be on hold way too long, but I'll give you the number. It's 866-979-3776. Again, 866-979-3776. Who's to blame for the Mariners offense? That's coming up in 15. Before we get to it, though, I have to sound off about something, and Bump, I know you agree with me. The Mariners are horrible offensively, truly atrocious. Like, it makes me sick to my stomach. I need some Tums. But they do have a great opportunity, and that is to add at the deadline, and it's how they can change a narrative around this team. I think that there is maybe a growing, though right now minority, but growing number of fans, Bump, who think, yeah, this team is so much further away from contending than just one or two bats. I don't want to give up prospects. Forget it. Just forget it. I'm done. I'm done with the season. It's so horrible. We lost. Don't trade anyone away. I think that is a horrible approach to a trade deadline when you are still in first place.
Don't you like the playoffs?
Yes,
that was
playoffs
fun,
are fun.
wasn't it?
It was great.
That was fun.
Loved a wild card visit.
Don't you want to hang a banner that actually means something and not just a playoff appearance?
I sure do.
Right. Those are the little things. There are steps you have to take when you are the organization like the Mariners to becoming a real contender. They're clearly not going to go out and buy the best bats. All right, they're going to start from the ground up, trade some prospects, get some fringe guys, infuse the lineup with some young dudes, and see what happens there. There are steps that you have to take. So if you can get a player with a few years of control and say, okay, let's build. Right, because the main thing that I see with this lineup is there isn't enough support for the star, and the star ain't performing like the star. You have to support Julio up and down this lineup, and he has to play better. All right, let's not ignore that. People are going to hop on me if I don't throw that out there. He's got to play better. But it all starts with baby steps. We know that they're not going to make the big move. We know that they're not going to go and get the hottest free agent out there because they might not want to come here, or they're not going to trade for the biggest name out there. We know that. So why not, even if it doesn't work out this year? It looks like they're not going to be World Series type of guys, right? Even if it doesn't work out this year, you are building for the future. That's why I'm okay with them being aggressive at the trade deadline.
Also, guys, they have a chance to actually win this division for the first time since 2001. Bump, how old were you in 2001?
I don't even talk about it, like 15.
15?
Yeah.
Curtis, how old were you in 2001?
10 years old.
Matt, how old were you in 2001?
7.
Right. I don't need to say how old I was. That's no one's business. But I was also very young. And the point is, Matt and Bump are married with kids, and Matt and I can legally drive. Matt, our board op, was 7 years old.
Dang.
7 years old. And look at him now.
And look at me now. I look like I was 30 when that happened.
But point being, it has been since 2001. And you want to look down your nose at a chance to win the division because it's not going to be with a team as dominant as that 2001 team?
It's that's a loser state of mind. That's how losers think.
Truly.
All right, like you guys are the people out there who aren't for building. Someone says, we've been building for 5 years, so what do? Stop building?
You take a break?
Stop?
What?
It's a constant build. Especially when you're the Mariners and you do it a certain way. It's a constant building type of situation. You know what it is? It's I-5 over there by the Tacoma Dome. It took, 10, 15 years to build that thing, right? It's done. I drove for the first time a couple weeks ago. It was great. It was great. It took too long, but it was great. I'm not saying these guys got to wait 10 years to get it done, but come on now. You have to constantly be building. We might not like the way that they do things. We might not like that they bring over 30-year-olds who might be in their decline, but they are trying. I don't agree with some of the stuff that they do, but they are trying. What if they just sat back and said, run it back, same squad. We're not doing anything. Our arms will take care of us.
Oh, we would have been complaining all offseason.
Exactly. So it's, again, we might not agree with some of the moves that they've made, but if they don't make any type of move, what does that say to the fan base? And if you are okay with them just sitting back and saying, let's just see this lead dwindle away and maybe get 10 games under 500 and watch the Astros just hang another banner, that's a loser mentality. I wouldn't want you on my team. No, thank you.
Being aggressive at a trade deadline, I think, makes this team kind of uncomfortable and makes a lot of clubs uncomfortable, in fairness. Spending money, I think, makes this club uncomfortable, makes some other clubs uncomfortable, in fairness. I think they should do it. And everyone has been calling for them to do it. You're gonna let them off the hook now because you don't like what they have halfway through the season?
It's crazy. I just don't understand that. And then 206, I responded to that person saying we've been building for 5 years. Now they say, how long are fans supposed to remain patient? You don't have to be patient to watch them build. You don't have to say, I'm not saying sit there and be okay with everything. I'm not saying sit there and don't boo, you do what you want to do. I'm not saying sit there and don't be frustrated, but I'm saying that if you're sitting there and you're okay with them not making moves, then what are we really doing?
Exactly.
the object of the game is to win. The object of sports is to win. Now, we understand that they run this like a business, and they might not want to win as much as other organizations because they will spend that money. But I would be even more frustrated if that trade deadline comes up and they do absolutely nothing.
I would be livid.
Like I just don't. I cannot understand that way of thinking.
It's a loser mentality.
I've never lived my life the way. I don't get it.
Well, no, because you're competitive and you're an athlete, and I just complain. And so that's both of us are going to be really, really bothered. I think also when you want to talk about building and how you continue to build, adding at the deadline is not selling out to win. It's another step in the building process. You don't have to add rental bats. I mean, you can to try to win, but you can also add pieces that might be with you next year. You can add pieces that are going to be important moving forward. You can add pieces that can help you win in 2025 and 2026 as opposed to 2028, a piece that you would trade away. Your window is still right now with these arms. So why would you not continue to add? And speaking of building, much like growth, it should be something that feels kind of linear and continues to build. Imagine if you hired people to work on your kitchen and you were like, okay, we're going to start with the floor. And then 3 weeks later, you were like, they're still working on the floor. That feels weird. That's kind of like this, right? Like at a certain point, you want to walk in and see them moving up, and now they're doing the cabinets, and you feel like, all right, it's been a while, but progress is being made. I feel like part of seeing the vision and part of the progress is that they do something like show that they can be competitive in a season, show that they can be aggressive in a season, and try to take advantage of an AL West lead. Winning the AL West would be growth. Winning the AL West and making it back to the playoffs would be growth. Why would you not want that?
Yeah, it's. Someone said, how many baby steps do they need to take before they walk? I don't know. More. You know what? My oldest, that dude was walking at like 9 months. My youngest, like 14, 15 months. It's different. And I feel your frustration. Trust me, I feel it. But as a former athlete, a guy on that roster, you think if July 30th comes around and Cal, JP, Julio go out to dinner and no moves are made, what is that going to do to their mentality? They're already in a bad place right now. Like, come on, man, you have to do something, and you are still in first place. If you make a couple of moves, you might be good enough to fend off the Astros. You just might, because they got injuries over there. They've been hot lately. I'm just saying, some of y'all are acting like they're not in the fight right now. They're losing. They lost some consecutive rounds, but they're still in the fight.
That's such a good point. Trading doesn't reward bad play. It sends a message to players saying, what are you going to do about it? I went out and I did my job as a member of this front office. I went out and got a bat to help the offense. What are you going to do, Cal? What are you going to do, JP? What are you going to do, Julio? It sends a message to them. I love that point. That's a good one. All right. We are opening up the phone line to you guys. The number, call now, 866-979-3776. Who's to blame for the Mariners offense? If you want to add on what you would do about it, what you want to see them do, you can. You do not have to. I just know that you guys are really fired up, have a lot of opinions about this team, so we want to give you the space to sound off about it. Who's to blame for the offense? 866-979-3776. Don't go anywhere.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Oluwatimi joining us.
What have you learned about yourself coming into this second year?
Preparing my body differently. Last year was kind of like a trial run. I mean, it was a blessing that not starting, figuring out, okay, what I got to do to prepare myself every week. So learning that, getting my body in better shape, and just understanding snap counts, understanding defensive tendencies, understanding the playbook getting better, just knowing football a little better from the NFL, just being in it for, going into my second year.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's Dave Wyman for R&R Foundation Specialist. Your home's foundation supports everything that sits on top of it. You know, the most common cause of a settling foundation is a condition in the soil called differential settlement. It goes back to inconsistent soil compaction when your home was first built, which in turn causes your entire home to bend and twist. And what you'll notice in your home when that occurs, sloped floors, bowed or cracked walls, or windows and doors that don't open and close properly. R&R Foundation Specialist raises and restores settling foundations by repositioning the load of your home onto steel piers that they drive deep into the ground. Then they gently lift it back into place with a hydraulic lift. It's a permanent solution to restore your home's foundation and its structural integrity. If you suspect your foundation is settling, do what I did. Have R&R Foundation Specialist come out for free. They'll identify the issue, and they will resolve it. Schedule your free estimate at rrfoundationspecialist.com.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Experience an unforgettable night of music as Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais grace the stage at the Emerald Queen Casino Event Center, Friday, August 2nd. Gavin DeGraw's soulful voice and Colby Calais' Grammy-winning melodies. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss your chance to see Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais live in concert August 2nd at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
Window Nation can help beat the heat in your home with a buy two, get two free offer on insulated, energy-efficient windows plus 0 down and no interest or payments for 2 years. Schedule an in-home estimate now at 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. From factory maintenance, AC, brakes, tune-ups to oil changes, wiper blades, and tire rotation. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto Repair. Carefree summer driving. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the Buc-ee's near you.
Have you been searching for a local, trustworthy group of professionals to assist with your mortgage? Hey, this is Brock Heward, and you can count on Tila Mortgage. They've been the go-to mortgage experts in Washington for over 25 years. If you are 62 or older and want to learn more about reverse mortgages, well, Tila can help you decide if it's the right choice for you. If monthly payments are impacting your credit score and just killing your cash flow, Tila can assist you in consolidating your debt with proven programs like a refinance loan or a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, enabling you to maintain your low fixed rate first mortgage. Additionally, if you're purchasing a new home, well, Tila can guide you through the ins and outs of a home loan as well. With hundreds of 5-star reviews, Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a trusted source for honest and ethical mortgage advice. Call Tila today at 206-766-8888 or
Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Let's talk about the true cost of a DUI. The humiliation, heartache, and fear are only the beginning. A DUI is a gross misdemeanor with serious consequences like jail time, fines, and license suspensions. There's some bitter surprises too. DUI hinders employment, other legal matters, and even custody outcomes. Don't even get me started on insurance premiums or being turned away at the border. You need the true value of our top-rated lawyers. We're fighting for you. So call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com. The real cost of a DUI conviction is like a cell phone bill. There's a lot tacked on. Fortunately, your investment in 1-800-DUI-AWAY can pay for itself many times over.
1-800-DUI-AWAY!
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners dropped a third consecutive 3-game home series, and this offense looked ugly. On Sunday, they were 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. From the Seattle Times, their numbers on the homestand with runners in scoring position: 10 for 77, that's 130, with 16 runs scored and 28 strikeouts. That is gross. So we're taking your calls right now about what's going on and who's to blame. Coming up in 30 seconds.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is Bump and Stacy
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross. Here we go now.
Ooh, you guys are ready to sound off. We got full phone lines. Every time we hang up with someone, another one opens, and I will occasionally tell you guys when you can call in so you aren't waiting so much. Who's to blame for the Mariners' offense? Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to dive right in. Danny is calling from New York. Danny, who's to blame for the Mariners' offense?
Thanks for taking my call. Been a fan since '91. I'd say the ownership group. I think it's crazy that they didn't do much during the off season. They did what they usually do. They get the bargain bin bat and then sell us on why that's such an upgrade from what they have. And it's really frustrating because with this pitching staff, I was really hoping that they'd get, like, Cody Bellinger was hanging out there for a little while. And I'm not saying he's a big superstar bat, but he's a solid left-handed bat, and I heard a rumor we might even be going after him, and we could have had him. He was hanging around till I think February, and so it's really frustrating to not see them being linked to bats that they could have gotten during the offseason the year before that. I know there were some fans crossing their fingers that we could have gotten Seager, and look what that did for Texas. It's just really frustrating to think that the ownership group doesn't want to have this all-in approach to finally bringing a championship to this team.
Thanks, Danny. Yeah, before we really get into this, I feel like I'm going to agree somewhat with everyone who calls, because some people are going to say management, some people are going to say service, some people are going to say the players. And for weeks I've been saying it takes everybody. But I like Danny's point to where you went bargain shopping and you were hoping that the bargain will work out. You were hoping that you went to all my people who live in Monroe. There's a store, Big Box, right? A store called Big Box. Big Box is like the low-key Costco. You get anything you want in Big Box. You just don't know what's going to be in Big Box. So you walk in there and you're saying, all right, I hope they got this piece for my lawnmower. Let me see if it's there. I hope they got this couch. Anything you want is there. So I'm looking at the Mariners like Big Box. Like, they walked into the store and was like, all right, I think we can use that over there. All right, it's used. The box is all messed up. They're going to give me a discount for it. All right, but it still might be able to work. And then you take it to the house and it lasts you like a few weeks, and you're mad that you grabbed it. And big shout out to Big Box. They got a lot of good stuff there too. I'm not hating on Big Box. Love that store. Been there a lot. But yeah, it's just you didn't go and order exactly what you wanted and did all the research and looked at the shiny new equipment and say, I'm going to get the brand new piece because that's what I need for this thing to run.
Let's go to Nelson in Kent. Nelson, who's to blame?
Bump, Stace. Hope you had a good 4th. I might continue that tradition here with some fireworks because I'm look, there's one common denominator every single year. You can switch out the players. It does not matter what the name is. The common denominator is Jerry DiPoto. And I am really tired of hearing from fans that it's ownership. I'm on Twitter a lot. Mariners Twitter is pretty supportive of Jerry, and they love to hop on ownership. But then these are the same people 2 years ago that were saying, well, we shouldn't pay Correa. We shouldn't pay Simeon. We shouldn't go after Seager or Turner. They don't want to spend 10-year contracts, and they don't want to get good players, not fringe players where you're like, yeah, he might be good if he rebounds or this or that. It is Jerry DiPoto. He'd rather spend $40 million on 5 players than just go get one really good player. And it's not the payroll. Who has the best record in baseball? The Guardians. They have the second to last payroll at $101 million, or 27th, $100 million. We spend $41 million more than them. They're not like the Orioles where they've had a bunch of number 1 picks over the years. The Brewers are 53 and 38. They have the 21st payroll. We spend $31 million more than them. The problem is Jerry DiPoto. You go look at his Angels tenure. He didn't develop one single bat there. Now, one thing he's done here is he's collected good young talent. But we don't know that those are actually going to produce good major league bats. We can only go by his history, which is Cal, good player, not a star. Julio should be the 1 star. After that, I don't even want to hear about JP, okay? JP has had one good year in like 7 years, 6 or 7 years. He's a nice player if he's like your worst hitter batting 9. The problem is Jerry Dipoto. I am sick of people defending him. I'm sick of I went back and read a bunch of all the.
All right, Nelson, I gotta let you go. Is your answer though Dipoto 100%?
100%.
All right. Thank you, Nelson.
Nelson was waiting for this.
Nelson was waiting.
Yeah.
Nelson says, look, I'm not going 10% Park, 20% execution, 10% coaching. I'm going 100% Jerry Dipoto. His point about the Guardians was interesting because there are times I look at other clubs and I go, okay, now the Dodgers can go outspend everyone. The Yankees can outspend everyone. All these other clubs can outspend everyone. Houston spends a lot of money. But how did the Mariners get really competitive when they're not spending? That point about, well, the Guardians didn't, tank the way the Orioles did, but they also don't spend the way the Yankees do. They kind of took the approach that the Mariners might want to take. They just did it better.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, you can use the Guardians. Philly has the best record, but the Guardians are right behind them like a game or something. But his point is valid. You can look at teams and say, all right, they did it that way, and this is where it seems like theoretically the Mariners are taking the same approach. How come they're not able to have the same type of success? It comes down to development and picking the right guys for your team and your system. And for the past couple of years, Dipoto has made it seem like they think they have the guys. 2 years ago, they told us this was a World Series type of team, didn't make the playoffs. So, yeah, there's definitely something going on when it comes to just player evaluations and projections. The projections have been off with a lot of their signings the past couple of years.
Yeah, you definitely brought the fireworks, Nelson. A good job on the fiery call. Let's go to Mark in Lake Tahoe. Remember that Lake Tahoe sweater I have, but I've never been, but everyone says I'm a poser
I always
for
ask
it.
too. Oh, yeah.
No, I've never been to Lake Tahoe. Mark's there, though. Mark, who's to blame for the Mariners' offense?
Well, in my point of view, it's got to be the two people that are profoundly affecting the Mariners, Jerry Dipoto and Scott. Jerry brings on these has-beens that if you look over Jerry's span, every one of those has-beens is somebody that is absolutely downhill and beyond his prime. Look at Jerry's constant comments about, oh, I've been looking in that player and want that player for years and years and years. That means the player's been out there for years and years and years, and when the cheap Mariners finally go after them, it's like, look at the Mariners that they brought on last year that retired before the end of the 23 season. That's the definition of Jerry Dipoto. Scott Service has got tunnel vision when it comes to when he puts a pitcher in there, he's got a preset notion in his mind of how many outs he wants to get from that player. And he's not going to pull them out. And even when the pitcher blows up, he's not going to pull that pitcher out until he gets those doggone outs. And after the pitcher blows the game up, he still doesn't get the outs from the pitcher. For somebody that's supposed to know pitchers better than anyone, look at how many of the opposing starting pitchers against the Mariners set personal highs and strikeouts. It's around 62 to 63. I'm so frustrated I've lost count.
Mark.
What the heck's going on here?
Mark, appreciate the call. I hope you're enjoying the sun out there in Lake Tahoe. To Mark's first point bump about Jerry, that's kind of what Ryan Divish had to say this morning when he was asked, is it player talent or player execution?
Yeah.
And he said, it's fringe talent. And it reminds me of when Kevin Mather had that video that leaked. He talked about Colton Wong in it and how they didn't want to pay Wong what he wanted. Then they get Colton Wong like 2 years later or whatever on a cheaper level. And of course they did, because he was a sponge that had everything wrung out. Like by then it was not the player that they initially wanted. They just finally got him on a clearance bin.
I'm not mad at Mark in Lake Tahoe completely. I will say that Scott's management of arms, like there's a science behind that. Like you're trying to get these guys through a season. You're trying to set up pitchers to go against certain teams and lefties and righties or whatnot. There is a number that I think Service abide to, like, look, this is what we need to get out of him to save our bullpen. We got this series coming up there. I mean, that's where I think Scott affects the game the most. obviously I don't know his formula exactly, but I think that it's about longevity, and he's trying to save arms and save those bullpen arms. Especially, remember we saw Munoz like 3 nights in a row one time. I'm like, he can't be throwing 102 and we see him 3 nights in a row.
No.
Like you got to try to protect the arm. So I think that's part of what Scott is doing. And how many times have the arms won us the game?
Right.
Most of the games are won because we got quality starts and you do just enough in the batter's box. So I'm not mad all the time with how Service manages the arms. There are obviously some situations where I do something different, but hindsight's 20/20.
Let's go to Matthew in Coeur d'Alene. Matthew, who's to blame for the Mariners' offense?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. So it's hard to blame any one particular person on the offense. Obviously there's multiple pieces that have been not firing on all cylinders, like a Palanco or a Canzone. But I think fundamentally as a franchise, their approach in 0-2 counts or, any 2-strike count has not been great. And it really reared its ugly head last night's game when we had, bases loaded 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning, and just couldn't really do much.
All right, thank you for the call. Matthew saying what you did this morning, Bump, where it's like, look, it's really hard for me not to look at players.
Yeah. Executing in clutch moments, right? What do you say? 0-2 counts, bases loaded, full count. There's not too many situations where I feel extremely confident in these guys executing. It's because that's what they've shown over the course of the season. How do coaches affect that? Because they're not in the batter's box with these guys. They're not anticipating a fastball and getting a breaking ball. Like when you are in the box, it ultimately comes up to you. You can have your coaching. You can have a plan when you get in there. But when you get in there and it gets real, it's all on you. That's the hardest part, is making the connection between what the coaches are telling these guys and how they're executing. But if you see so many guys failing in the same situations, there has to be some type of connection to the coaches.
Let's go to Chad in Bremerton. Chad, who's to blame for this Mariners offense?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Appreciate you taking my call. Sorry if I sound a little bit winded. I'm jogging right now. It's pretty toasty on these streets. But anyways, ownership and Dipoto for me, a lot like many of these callers. And quite frankly, listening to you guys, and I love you guys, but you're echoing the same sentiments that suggest it's ownership, because I'm hearing we already know they're not going to make the big move at the deadline for the big bat. That's just not what they do. Go ahead, trade for a couple fringe guys, keep building, baby steps. I'm so tired of that. It's unacceptable at this point. Like, I am so tired of that philosophy. Our entire lineup essentially is comprised of fringe guys. We need to go out, do whatever it takes to get the big dude, and then you need at least one more guy. I don't care if he's a power guy. His skill set needs to be being athletic and getting on base, because Gilbert's going to get paid soon. Kirby's getting paid soon. Cal's getting paid soon. And if we're not paying them, the window's now. It's ending very soon.
That was Chad, right? Chad, yeah, Chad, appreciate it. One, I never said get a fringe guy. I think we highlighted that they were getting fringe guys and hoping that they would be who they're supposed to be. I think you and I have been big advocates of going and getting a big bat. I think all we did was describe what the history of the Mariners is and why we wouldn't expect them to get the big bat. I want them to go big. I've been yelling it since, week 2 of the season. Like, come on, go get it. The time is now. We have to right here, right now. So I'm blasting a couple weeks. So, no, I think maybe Chad misunderstood what we were saying, but I do agree with him that it is now. You're in first place. You haven't been, what was the stat? It was like the first time they had an X amount of lead. And
since 2003,
yeah.
It was a 5 or more game lead in May or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
And that's when we're yelling from the mountaintops, from Mount Rainier, go get a bat. Let's get it. So yeah, I agree with you, Chad. I think maybe you just misunderstood what we were saying.
Yeah, Chad, I think you agree with us and we agree with you more than we think. Also, stay safe out there. It's hot today. Bring some water on that jog. Let's go to Frank in Tacoma. Frank, who's to blame for this Mariners offense?
Well, I think it's analytics and the front office because they're having our boys swing so fast and as an upward thrust to hit the ball out of a ballpark that it's hard to hit it out of, that they have less time in the strike zone to make connection with the baseball. So that's a big part of it, and it's our young guys that don't know how to bunt when the third baseman's sitting back, and that's been proven already twice this year where a good player knows when to bunt and knows how to get on base. You know, that's all I got to say. You know, they just need to teach them how to play baseball, small ball, and then go for the fences when someone's on base.
Yeah, that's interesting because we had, I forgot who was on our show. We spoke to him, and they talked about how owners and management are building these teams now. They're building them to swing for the fences because it's so hard to hit a baseball these days with velocity and spin rate. So they're saying, hey, our best bet is just to try to hit as many home runs as possible. But that contradicts exactly what the Mariners were telling us when it came to how they were building this team. Swing at balls in the zone, put it in play, then that kind of morphed to this home run hitting team. I also think that once you start getting pressure and you start losing games and you start struggling in the batter's box, naturally you start swinging harder because you just want to get that monkey off your back and go yard. So there's just a lot going on with this whole situation.
All right. Let's go to Mike in Langley. Mike, I didn't save you a lot of time. I'm really sorry, but quickly, who's to blame for the Mariners' offense?
Ownership. I mean, and the Mariners' business model. You build a homer-suppressing park. You pay for good fielders. You basically go for lottery ticket people like Garber, La Stella, Palanco, et cetera. And I want to give you this angle is, think about Griffey Jr., Randy Johnson, A-Rod, Ichiro. They're all superstars. All of them wanted out of Seattle. I mean, this team has a budget problem. They're going to spend what they're going to spend, and they're going to be pitching and defense friendly, and nobody who really can hit wants to come here. So I embrace the business model and hope that they get better minor league hitting talent, I think is where I'm coming from.
Thanks for the call, Mike, and thanks for hanging on there as our last caller. We're going to react to Mike's opinion, react to some more caller opinion coming up at 11:45. Right now, let's get to 4 Down Territory.
This is 4 Down Territory, going inside the game. What former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
2-minute drill. First down, Matt Eberflus is the betting favorite to be Coach of the Year in 2024. No surprise there. Who do you think can rival him?
Eberflus, if he's Coach of the Year, that means that, I forget his name. Williams?
Caleb Williams.
Caleb. I almost called him Camden. Caleb
Learn
Williams.
Ball. Wow.
Caleb Williams is having the year that I don't expect him to have. But come on, it has to be Mike McDonald. 14 years Pete Carroll was here. Super Bowl champion, one of the greatest defenses of all time. Believe it or not, folks, one of the most successful organizations in all of football since he was here. It has to be Mike McDonald. So if Eberflus does get it, that means that the Bears are in the playoffs. But you got to look at Mike McDonald and the potential here and say, if they can make the playoffs, compete for the division, he should be in the mix.
Second down. Pro Football Network believes one Seahawk is overpaid. I'm very curious now. Who is he, and do you agree?
So the guy that they think is overpaid is our guy, Leonard Williams. I'm looking at the Leonard Williams contract, 3 years, $64 million. Spotrac has him listed as a defensive end. And I go, he's not an end. So I went back, I'm watching film. He plays a 3-tech. He usually has an edge rusher on the outside of him. I think that's where they're getting confused a bit. Because when you look at defensive ends, he's up there with Max Crosby is getting paid a bunch of money. Obviously, you got Jonathan Greenwood. These guys are getting paid, and they're getting 13, 14, and 8.5 sacks. I go, no, you got to change the way you look at Leonard Williams. He's a 3-tech. Go ahead and look at Quentin Williams. That's more comparable. 4 years, $96 million, $24 million a year, 5.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss. You look at Leonard, 5.5 sacks, couple tackles for loss. So I think it's perspective. If you look at him as a true defensive end, then he's probably getting paid too much, but that's not what he does. He's a 3-tech. He plays the interior defense. So, I think they just have to revisit that one because I think he's right where he needs to be, getting paid right where he should.
Third down. You saw a list that made you angry. Talk to me. Tell me about it.
The list that made me angry, I got to pull it up on my phone because I didn't transfer to my iPad. Come on, bum. All right, so the list is the top 30 greatest college football players of all time. And there's some ballers on this. There's number 1, Herschel Walker.
Okay.
You got Barry Sanders on there. Tim Tebow's on there. Randy Moss is on there. Bo Jackson.
All fair.
O.J. Simpson. Ricky Williams. Colt McCoy coming in at 29.
There's a name I haven't heard yet.
Reggie Dang Bush.
Where's Reggie Bush?
Are you kidding me? He's not on this list. Who is responsible for this list?
Not
Y'all
on the
are
list
tripping.
at all?
Not on the list at all. College football
Stop.
alerts.
Technically, his career never happened, right?
Nah, he's good now. He got the Heisman. He's good. It happened. This blew my mind. I go, where's Reggie? Where's Reggie? You got Marcus Allen on there, SC. Yep, for sure. O.J. Simpson. Okay, O.J. Simpson is on this list, and my guy Reggie ain't on this list. This one blew my mind.
He killed a man, maybe.
Nah, he did it. Maybe two. Maybe two.
Definitely two.
You know who else I don't see on this? Cam Newton. Cam Newton's one of the greatest college football players of all time. I'm just saying. So whoever made this list, they're probably like 45 and up, you know, and don't respect the millennials when they were doing their thing. Especially Reggie Bush, man. That blows my mind.
How do you not have Reggie Bush on there? He's the best player I personally
Best
saw.
I've ever seen.
How?
College.
Make it make sense. But then you have Tim Tebow, who, one of the best careers we've seen from a quarterback for sure. But like not same era, slightly after, but like.
Yep. That was wild.
What?
Crazy.
What? Fourth down. Casey Sadler had a tweet that made me laugh. He said, I have a whole new respect for baseball fans after sitting in the stands and paying $18 for one beer. What is something that you experienced in your transition from being a player to a fan? Because for a lot of these guys, for anyone that plays in college, that goes to the pros, you don't actually sit in the stands as a fan for a long time.
Yeah, the first game I ever went to was when I was done playing football. Like before then, didn't have the money, no team in LA other than UCLA and USC. Didn't go to any games. So when I went to my first was a Seahawk game and a Wazoo game, and I said amongst the people, I said, these people are wild. These people are crazy. They will step on your toes. They will bump into you. They're hooting and hollering. And I go, it's much more calmer on the field, it feels like, man. So that was like a shock to me. And also this travel. When you are traveling with the team, the travel's so great. Now that I got a whole bunch of miles in Alaska, holla at me, Alaska Airlines. Now that I got a whole bunch of miles, the travel's better. But before then, like as a football player, the bus just goes up to the plane. You hop out. It's nice and smooth. It's flawless. And the travel and just the crazy people who make the game great.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize how crazy they were over there in the stands. I'm sitting there just looking around like, where am I? Where am I? So yeah, those are my two experiences: the travel and the fans. Love the fans. Love that they get crazy. I just wasn't ready for it.
A hot mic moment coming up in the timeline. That's next.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Leaps up and he makes the catch.
With voices like Ryan Roland Smith, Gary Hill, and Mike Blowers.
Long-term pitching, if you have that foundation, good things are going to happen.
It makes him so valuable when he's hitting. This team is a team that's going to have to bunch hits together, put pressure on the defense.
Hear from the players and coaches, and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Drayer.
They find a way to grind it out, stay in the game. I thought it was a really good win for them.
The Dugout, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, if you're taking Viagra or any other pill for ED, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life? If you're like most men, the answer is no. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we can restore blood flow naturally without pumping your body full of chemicals like you've been doing. Guys, you need to come in today and fix this problem now. Why are you putting this off? Viagra's not going to magically start working next week, and you don't want to use shots or go under the knife. Call us today and speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today like the thousands of men who already have. If you're tired of dealing with ED or Peyronie's disease, then call West Coast Men's Health.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. From factory maintenance, AC, brakes, tune-ups, to oil changes, wiper blades, and tire rotation. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto Repair. Carefree summer driving. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the Buc-ee's near you.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck. And less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts experts are calling the secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-895-7664. Call now, and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-895-7664 now to secure your 1904P $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-895-7664.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Breaking ball struck him out. That's a dozen for George Kirby.
A Mariners game is the perfect place to spend a Seattle summer day. You can kick back with some Moto Pizza, take in the views of Elliott Bay, enjoy a local brew, and soak up the sun. It's like going to the beach, only better, because you don't have to pack a big cooler, you can't get stung by a jellyfish, and there's no sand to get in your shoes or anywhere else. Plus, the beach usually doesn't have JP, Cal, or Julio.
Fair ball, base hit. Julio hits their base. He's racing home. He's saved. Cal Raleigh delivers.
Pass me that sunscreen. Let's go. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
The Mariners kick off the second half of the season at T-Mobile Park with back-to-back AL West showdowns. Don't miss the action as the squad squares off against the Astros Friday, July 19th to Sunday, July 21st. Then it's the Angels July 22nd through 24th. Summer is in full swing, and there's no better place to be than the ballpark. Tickets at mariners.com.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Let's talk about summertime. Bikinis, the occasional Speedo, sunshine, and almost always more drinking. But don't let the wine coolers or hard lemonades fool you. Too many drinks at the beach can get you in a whole lot of trouble. You're sporting a farmer's tan, but the police are wearing heavy, dark uniforms. And it's not because they're comfortable. If you don't take preventative measures, your summer tan can become a costly burn. Take a designated driver with that aloe vera and SPF 50. Call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com to set up a free private consultation. Jail is no place to ask, missed a spot? Mind getting where I can't reach? Be reasonable this summer. And always remember, 1-800-DUI-AWAY has your back.
1-800-DUI-AWAY. This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It's The Timeline on Bump and Stacy, reading you the top stories you're going to see and hear about on your own timeline. So let's start with a hot mic moment. Phillies radio broadcasters were caught on their mics ripping the Braves PA announcer. This was following Phillies win over Atlanta. The Braves PA announcer is maybe trying to inject some positivity, as is his job, into the crowd. And then the Phillies radio guys are making fun of him.
Yeah, whatever.
It was so much fun losing. Yay.
Why are you making fun of a guy for literally doing his job?
Stacy.
Yeah.
It's the Phillies and Braves.
You know how this goes.
I
know how this goes.
I get
like,
it.
They're making fun, but it's not like they're attacking him as a person. It's just, things are said
You're
that people
bullying
don't
him.
hear all the time in the broadcast. I understand that people are like, oh my God, why would they do that? I go, look, man, you say things when you're with your peoples that you wouldn't say in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
They're just making fun. I don't think
Okay,
they're
that's true.
attacking the men personally. They're just like, yeah, whatever.
You know what? Now that you say that, I'm thinking if like every single thing we said during breaks was picked up on a hot mic.
Yeah.
Like we'd probably be like making fun of things or saying random things where people would be like, that's so messed up.
Right. And then that's where people lose the human factor. It's almost like people have to be so perfect, like politicians, right? They walk out there and they try to present this certain facade of who they are. That ain't who you are. It's just humans being humans, man. We are so soft these days to where no one can make fun of anybody anymore or have any type of fun. Everyone's so serious. They didn't really mean it that way. They're not attacking him. They're just making a little fun of him.
God, what was I seeing over the weekend that surprised me? This is unrelated to anything in the timeline, but very related to people sometimes being offended about things that I'm confused about. There was this woman who dropped her 7-year-old off at a 7-hour birthday party, and people were like, wow, bad parenting.
7 hours. Goodness gracious.
Well, that's a long birthday party, but
Yeah, it is.
I was like, I don't have kids, so maybe I was confused about why it was controversial, and people were like panning her for it.
Here's the thing. My daughter had her birthday party at Dave & Buster's a few months back, and we're going to be there for like 3 or 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We tell parents, drop your kids off. Y'all go have a drink, go connect. It's all good. If you trust the people, I guess, that are around, for sure. But 7 hours is too long for me, though. I'd be back in 2 to check up on her.
I guess. Yeah, certainly. The thing is, I'm going off of my experience as a kid in the 90s versus having a child now.
Yeah, it's different
So
now.
it's very different now.
People weird.
All right. Next up, while paying a visit to the Yankees TV broadcast, UConn head coach Dan Hurley said he thinks he'd be a better football coach than a basketball coach.
So I'm wondering, Danny, was sitting here, Joe Girardi, a world champion manager. Do you think that great coaching / managing translates to any sport? Like, could you go into a dugout and do what you do?
Yeah, I think the leadership piece and the psychology, the motivation, the relationship building, just all that stuff, like leading men through the ups and downs of these seasons. I think I think I'd be a better football coach than basketball, actually.
Why?
My intensity. I think it's more. It fits these football guys.
I mean, it's working out for basketball right now with back-to-back championships going for a third. But what did you make of him talking about the differences between not just coaching the two sports, but who you have to be as a person in the two sports?
Oh, yeah, he's right. I mean, because in football, the language is different, the intensity is different, expectations are different. Like when people describe Dan Hurley, that's the first thing they say is that he's not your average D1 college basketball type coach. He does his own thing. He's very intense and animated. And in football, I always look at that scene, or I think of that scene. I forgot it was Nick Saban and another coach, and it was at LSU, and they are MFing a player at the same time just going after him, and no one flinched. No one flinched at all. So in basketball, I think because it's a more intimate sport with the media and the crowd, he probably has to taper it back a little bit.
How much of this plays into the idea, I'm sure that many football players have, but that the average fan has in general, that basketball players are just soft? Like, you're not coached up the way I had to be coached up, kind of.
I mean, in a way.
Yeah.
Basketball players don't because it's not that physical of a sport. In football, you have to have emotion to be great. Doesn't mean you have to have it on display all the time, but there's a certain intensity that a football team has, no matter what level of football you're playing at, that needs to be there for them to have success. And I think Dan Hurley would be he'd be like a great special teams dude. Just get them going for about 15 plays a game. I'd like to see it.
Next up in the timeline, Puka Nacua, Rams receiver, doesn't eat vegetables. This is from ESPN. It says Puka knows he's a picky eater. When he wanted to improve his eating habits this offseason, he went to team nutritionist Sebastian Zorn for help, but he had some restrictions. He doesn't like any vegetables. He listed green onions and asparagus before saying, quote, I don't do any of those. So instead, he replaces the nutrients from vegetables with watermelon and pineapple in the morning to go with his eggs and bacon. He said, those are how I get some of my fiber and stuff like that because, hey, you got to poop somehow. And I'm like, I'm not getting it from any veggies.
That's a good replacement, I guess.
Somehow.
I don't know too much about nutrition. My wife handles all that for me. I mean, if there's a nutritionist on the text lines, let us know if that's a good substitute. If you don't need vegetables, if that's what he's doing.
I am not a nutritionist. However, I do have many, many, many years of paying attention to nutrition. And I'm telling you right now, while watermelon can be great and pineapple can be great, even though both have a lot of natural sugar in them, you can't replace spinach with pineapple. Like, you just can't. There are nutrients that you are not going to get from only fruit that you need to get from leafy greens. And Puka, right now you're in your early 20s, so it's fine. You know, there are a lot of in your 20s, you can eat all kinds of things and it doesn't matter.
Jack in a Box every night,
you know what
2
I mean?
a.m.
Oh my God, I would have like a
Doesn't
whole
matter.
pizza and the next day I'd be like, I think I'm thinner. I think I'm in better shape today. I don't know how that happened. That changes, okay? That changes. You need to pay attention to your health eventually. For right now, look, substituting fruit for veggies is better than substituting like either nothing or candy. So DK.
To be young,
I
my
know.
goodness, I'm recovering from the weekend of eating and drinking like garbage.
Dude, it sticks with you differently. Let me tell you what, especially drinking.
Yeah,
And we're in our 30s. I mean,
I'm almost 40.
well, yeah, did you, I feel like sports nutrition now has changed a lot, even from when you were playing. Like now, I remember, this was a couple years ago, but Chris Carson was talking about like, yeah, for the first time ever, I was paying attention to like what I was eating. And I imagined being like a, early 20s athlete that can eat whatever you want and perform, and then how you go to the next level by improving nutrition. I feel like it's gotten so intense now. Like
it's
I
crazy.
feel like athletes of years past, probably well into their careers, were like, yeah, I eat whatever.
Yeah. When I was with the Hawks, the chef was pretty good. They let us know what to eat, when to eat, and all that stuff. But the technology is different. Nutrition is different. That's why I see these high school kids that are just ripped up, man. I'm like, you're 14 years old. How you look like that?
They're having like whey protein and trying to get macros right and like exactly the amount of protein that they need, where it used to be like, I don't know. Did you hit a spot in your career where you were like, I should pay attention to what I eat?
No, I didn't play very long.
Maybe
so
just in life.
After like I was done in
Maybe it's
CFL.
more like you hit 30 and you were like,
30. I had 30 and I
pay
gained
attention.
like 15 pounds real quick. I go, okay, let's switch
what's
it up.
happening to this? Where'd my metabolism go? Jason Churchill, host of Baseball Things, the podcast, is going to join us at noon to answer all of our questions. Before then, we had a question for you guys. We opened up phone lines at 11, and our question was one that we'd been talking about all morning. Who's to blame for the Mariners' offense? You guys had a lot of different responses, but there was a really common one that surprised me, Bump, and we'll talk about it next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
I'm just sort of marveling at the lack of belief in this team. Not that the Seahawks should be considered a top 5 team. I'm not making that case at all. But there seems to be a really dim view of what this team's going to be. First of all, what was their record last year, Bob? They were 9-8 with a bad defense. So we all assume that the defense is going to be at least somewhat improved. How much, we'll find out. And the offense is bringing back almost the same cast. I don't see them getting worse.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Bring your whole crew to the game with the Mariners Suite at T-Mobile Park. Whether you're planning a special birthday party for friends and family or a company outing for up to 400 coworkers, there's no better spot for an unforgettable experience. Enjoy the suite life with premium catering, VIP parking, private Skybridge entry, and more. Plus, season ticket members get 15% off. Reserve your suite today at mariners.com/suites.
And the pitch up the middle, JP! Wow!
Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Are you tired of losing weight just to see it all come back again? Summer is around the corner and you want to look and feel like yourself again, but getting back on that frustrating weight loss roller coaster is the last thing you want to do. You've heard about the new drugs but are concerned with the possible side effects, or you're taking weight loss drugs but also want to learn how to change your lifestyle for long-lasting results. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle strategies. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossklinic.com.
Losing the weight is great, but maybe the best part of this program is the sustainability, what comes afterwards, because it doesn't really matter how much weight you lost if you're not able to keep it off, and Eastside's program is fantastic.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-522-5070 or eastsideweightlossklinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, DC. Results may vary.
Are you still using allergy pills and sprays to treat your allergy attacks? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, snoring, facial pain are just a few of the sinus symptoms we can help you out with. From allergy workups and treatments to modern nasal breathing procedures to advanced outpatient balloon sinuplasty, we can diagnose and treat your problems. Let us help you get relief easily, quickly, and permanently. Find us in Federal Way or Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Do you know a woman who gives her all to the sports community, encourages diversity, and empowers those around her? Shannon Dreyer here. Seattle Sports is once again partnering with the Seattle chapter of WOES, which stands for Women in Sports and Events. We want to recognize a woman in our community, and we need your help in finding her. Nominations for the 3rd Annual Women of Inspiration Award are open until July 12th. The winner will receive a donation to the cause of their choice. Nominate an inspiring woman at woiseattle.org.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Ever since I got here, I want to win a World Series in Seattle, and this city's starving for another winning team.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Have you been searching for a local, trustworthy group of professionals to assist with your mortgage? Hey, this is Brock Heward, and you can count on Tila Mortgage. They've been the go-to mortgage experts in Washington for over 25 years. If you are 62 or older and want to learn more about reverse mortgages, well, Tila can help you decide if it's the right choice for you. If monthly payments are impacting your credit score and just killing your cash flow, Tila can assist you in consolidating your debt with proven programs like a refinance loan or a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, enabling you to maintain your low fixed rate first mortgage. Additionally, if you're purchasing a new home, well, Tila can guide you through the ins and outs of a home loan as well. With hundreds of 5-star reviews, Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a trusted source for honest and ethical mortgage advice. Call Tila today at 206-766-8888 or
Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 472046.
Between his hobbies and decades of work in a boatyard, Philip had put his body through a lot.
I'm an avid fly fisherman and an avid skier. It takes its toll.
Not to mention one other thing.
I had a near-fatal motorcycle accident. Absolutely obliterated my lower left leg again.
Philip couldn't live with the pain anymore. So he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
Listening to all these radio spots, I said, what do I got to lose?
What was your experience like with Dr. Wagner?
What I was so impressed with Mark about is that how often you have a surgery like this, and the guy calls you the next day to see how you're doing. I can't say enough good things about the guy, honestly.
And how are you feeling now?
I have no pain, none. Zero.
Wow. So would you recommend stem cell therapy to others?
I'm a fan, believe me. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
You are listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We had a lot of baseball talk today. Jason Churchill joining us in 15. Before we get to that, Bump, you and I took callers at 11, and our question was one that we tried to answer to start the show. Who's to blame for the Mariners' offense? Now, you looked at players. I talked about maybe acquiring players that were near the end of their career and then expecting them to make you a World Series team. And it was a really interesting conversation. I was surprised how many callers, and I'll get back to the text line for your guys' reaction. I was surprised how many callers looked immediately to the front office and ownership. Not because I don't think that's part of the conversation, but I was expecting way more people with how often I see them talk about like Julio on the text line to say players.
I thought the text lines and the calls were going to say Julio needs to play better. He's been paid X amount of dollars. He's not performing at that level. I was surprised. And that's refreshing, honestly, because a lot of the responses we get when it comes to this question are the players. There's no one simple answer. I think everything is connected. But for the callers not to look at the guys with the jerseys on surprised me. But I kind of like that approach, too, because these guys didn't assemble this team. They are expected to perform at a certain level, but they didn't put this group together and say, let's make it work. The guys upstairs did that. And that puts Service in a tough spot as well. He doesn't have control of the roster. He's not talking about trades or free agents. During the offseason, he's somewhere on a boat just chilling and waiting to see who's going to be at spring training. So it was refreshing to not hear the fans go after the players and go after the guys who are responsible for assembling the group.
And I don't think they're wrong. Like, again, we heard Ryan Divish's sound from Brock and Salk earlier today, and he was saying, look, he was asked a separate question by Brock, which was, is it talent or is it like execution when it comes to player issues? And he said, I think it's a fringe talent problem. So, you know, you've brought in guys that are in their 30s. You don't know if maybe there's a natural drop-off. Like, I think we'll learn more about the acquisition of Jorge Palanco if Jorge Palanco goes somewhere else next year. There's an option. But if he goes somewhere else next year and suddenly thrives, well, now we're talking about what happens here in Seattle. What happens here in Seattle with the hitting staff, with the coaching staff, with the park, whatever, where guys can't succeed. When you have Jesse Winker who comes here and then goes to Milwaukee and hits sub 200, I know he's okay now, but hit sub 200 the following season. Well, maybe that's a Jesse Winker thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there is an aspect to this where I look at decision makers and say, your job was to create a World Series team. And if you thought you truly did that, there's a bigger problem. Then the separate issue, though, is, but could anyone have expected this club to be this bad offensively? I didn't. They're atrocious.
I think
and that's a player thing.
Yeah, I think that what you said was on point. Did you really expect this group to be World Series champions? We talked to Hollander weeks back when they had that 10-game lead, and he seemed uneasy. He wasn't sitting back and saying, yep, we did it. We got a squad.
You're welcome.
Let's keep it rolling. And he goes, nah, we still need to fix some things. So obviously he's a reflection of everyone else, right? He's the guy that we talk to the most, and we're thankful for that. So just watching him and his body language and hearing the way he responded to that question lets me know that they felt like they might be able to hold off the Astros, but they weren't going to go anywhere. And that's essentially what he said. He goes, look, you see what they're doing offensively. These guys are going to be able to play. When they look at this team, all right, let's flash back 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the message was World Series. This is a World Series type of team. And that was the A.J. Pollock. That was the, Colton Wong. That was that group. So I think they learned their lesson and said, look, we're not going to put any type of expectations on these guys, especially because I think they figured out what their weakness is. And so far, the weakness in this organization is finding and developing bats. They just haven't been able to do it, or they're not willing to fork up the money it takes to just get a product that's ready to go. That's the next step for these dudes. I think that you have a star. I still think Julio is a star. He's going to turn this thing around. You have leadership in Cal. Somebody was just bashing JP on the hotline. Couldn't disagree with you more. I think JP's essential to what this team is trying to do. He's not having a great year, not having a bad year. Like, you have these pieces. The problem, it feels like, are the pieces that you're trying to add and force them to be something that they just aren't being, or you're not able to project what they're going to be. That's the tough part right now with this organization is this. You got to do better at that. The assembly of this team, with the arms, you are good, but everywhere else, it seems like you fall short time and time again. My question is, do they look in the mirror and say, all right, guys, we got to switch something up because our approach just isn't working?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, like, hey, Jerry, hey, Justin, front office, what did you learn from last year's free agency period? What did you learn from what you did and subsequently didn't do? I would also want to know, did you learn anything new or different from this year's? Because, again, you hear them talk about what they want, and it makes sense. Hey, we want to cut down on strikeouts, so we moved on from 2 strikeout leaders, and we're bringing in someone who struck out less. On paper, yeah, for sure. But then, other things start to creep in. Well, were you just shedding payroll and one of those guys is, hitting a ton of home runs for another team? And, well, now you brought in this guy and he's striking out even more than those guys did. So what's happening here? Like, there has been some stuff that's been unforeseen with what they've had. Kyle Lewis was supposed to be really great. He had injury concerns, but was supposed to be great. And he just couldn't get over those knee injuries and continued to suffer one. I don't think we expected Evan White would be as banged up as he is, and we all thought that, wow, this guy could be a Gold Glove guy. Like, he's really solid defensively. He could be special. He didn't work out. Jared Kelenic, the Mets thought would be a superstar.
Yep.
Everyone thought would be a superstar. He didn't work out. The Mariners weren't the only team wrong about him. And yeah, he's doing a lot better with Atlanta, but who knows if Jared would have succeeded here had he stayed. So there's all kinds of things that are like not necessarily in the Mariners' control.
Yeah.
But there is a talent acquisition and an offense building problem. The other part of that is execution, though. And as much as I'll defend Julio, I don't think having Julio I don't think Julio has a talent problem.
No, I think Julio's just in a slump, and it's a long slump, a slump that we didn't expect to have out of the young man. But I think you hit on some points with Kyle Lewis. You got unlucky. Jared Kelenic, maybe just not the right environment. Even a guy like Jesse Winker, he leaves and goes to Milwaukee. Now he's playing better. There's a bridge that's missing, it feels like. The bridge that's connecting everything all together. And it's the stuff that we don't see that I think has the most impact on this club. It's the communication with coaches, and it's the guys upstairs putting the team together. We're going to find out fairly quickly if they are going to change their approach, because the trade deadline is coming up. And if these guys are still ahead in the division, if they're one game back, if they're in the fight and they take the same approach, then why should fans expect anything different from the team and the organization? This is going to be big, man, because they've never been in this position before. This is uncharted territory. I hope they realize the impact of their decisions coming up here pretty soon. And not just for like the fans who watch and listen and support these guys, but for the dudes on the roster who you hope are going to be there for a while. You think that if the Mariners go out July 30th and they don't make a big enough move, right? And granted, teams got to be willing to deal their guys. You can't just go up, give me this guy, right? Mm-hmm. There has to be some negotiation going on. But if they get to that point and a deal isn't made that makes sense and isn't satisfactory for people involved, what are these pitchers going to think? Like, how stressed out do you think it is to be a pitcher in this rotation right now? Kirby knows, man, if I don't get a quality start, man, we might not win this one.
Yep.
Logan knows, he even said it, if I feel so much better when I get run support early. Like, these are the mental battles that and the stress that I think these pitchers have on them that people don't necessarily realize what's going on. So how does that affect them when it's time to re-sign or go somewhere else? They're saying, look, why would I want to stay in a place where I feel like doesn't support my talent the way that it should be supported?
All right. Is it a talent issue? Is it a talent acquisition issue? How can they fix it? What's the ceiling? Will adding a bat at the deadline help? These are all questions we have for Jason Churchill. He joins us next.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners have arguably the best pitching staff in baseball. I think I'm probably taking the Mariners at the end of the day over every team in the American League right now.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
This is the team to beat in the division. And it's not just a hot take. That's what the numbers say, that they're the team to beat in the division.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
To me, stress-free means I don't have to worry. Everything will turn out great with little or no effort. That's exactly why more people choose Subaru Puyallup. Brock here. Look no further than Subaru Puyallup for the very best. Stress-free, huge selection, pricing, and ownership experience. Stop by, or if you know what Subaru you want, choose Subaru Puyallup's stress-free direct online car buying right there at SubaruPuyallup.com. Part of the great Harnish Auto family. It's my friends down at Subaru Puyallup, your stress-free dealership.
Rick Riz here, and it's the final month to submit your nomination for Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington's Improve Your Play program. Pella's owners are donating $5,000 to 2 local youth sports organizations. Many local teams are in need of new equipment, field improvements, or uniforms. If you know a team who could use funding, nominate them at seattlesports.com/play. Join Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington and help our local youth thrive. Go to seattlesports.com/play to nominate a team in need right now.
Oh no, your furnace died. Your hot water heater's leaking. Your drains are clogged. Your AC's blowing hot air. Inconveniences? No, they're emergencies. Don't fear. Call Deere Services. Visit DeereServices.net. Make an appointment and we'll be there within 3 hours or give you $100 credit. And get this, you will never pay a service fee. Bookmark DearServices.net because if you're a homeowner, it'll happen to you someday. Deere Services, there when you need us most.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. From factory maintenance, AC, brakes, tune-ups, to oil changes, wiper blades, and tire rotation. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto Repair. Carefree summer driving. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the Buc-ee's near you.
Riverside Roofing LLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to Riverside Roofing LLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Shane Company loves Seattle so much, we decided to open another jewelry store in the area. Come say hi at our new South Center Square location in Tukwila. Shop our beautiful selection of fine jewelry or stop by our new Create Your Own station and make something one of a kind. You can also step into our pop-up radio booth to share a story about your jewelry for a chance to be featured on the radio. And of course, you can still visit us in Linwood, too. We can't wait to see you.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Miller Lite has your chance to win a Miller Lite varsity style jacket. Just log on to MillerLite.com/Bigfoot, where you can chat with Bigfoot, uncover tales of the Northwest, and enter to win a Miller Lite varsity style jacket. Head to MillerLite.com/Bigfoot. No purchase necessary. Starts 4/9/2024, ends 8/30/2024. Residents of Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, 21+. Official rules at MillerLite.com/Bigfoot for free entry method, odds, and restrictions. Molson Coors Beverage Company, USA, LLC, 250 South Wacker Drive, Chicago, Illinois, USA, 60606.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners have an off day today before starting a series against the Padres tomorrow. In the meantime, you've got extra innings tonight, 7 p.m., hosted by Curtis Rogers, so you can still get your Mariners fix. After turning down the Lakers gig, UConn head coach Dan Hurley has agreed to a 6-year, $50 million extension.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacey Ross.
Here we go now.
Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, host of Baseball Things, it's Jason Churchill. Church, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. Good summer so far, right?
Beautiful, hot week. Not so great for the Mariners, but still feeling very July, which I love. My first question is about this Mariners offense. Go figure. Bump and I were talking about kind of where the onus falls for the offense. Is it player execution? Is it talent acquisition? Is it with the front office? When you look at kind of, hey, who's most responsible for a team that is the worst offense in baseball, who do you look to?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a cop-out answer, but it's the truth. It is a combination of things. It's really difficult to sit here and say, oh, this is on Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander because they put the roster together. True, but they also put the roster together with kind of, they had to kind of go to plan B and C when ownership pulled the rug out from under their original plan with payroll issues. So then they had to go to, let's try and trade for Jorge Polanco. Let's do the Luke Raley thing. Let's force the Jared Kelnick trade. And, that's going to back you into a corner when it comes to player acquisition. But at the end of the day, for the most part, this comes down to the kind of hitters they have and the execution that's occurring. Because Mitch Garver's strikeout rate has gone up 6% over his career, I think it is, and almost 8%, 7.5% over last year. The Mitch Garver acquisition made sense. The Jorge Polanco acquisition made perfect sense. I was talking to rival executives going, they got a chance to be a really good offense over there. And it's just gone backwards. Cal Raleigh's gone backwards. Julio Rodriguez has obviously gone backwards. I'm not sure how you can blame anybody but the players in that case. There's a couple of hitting coaches, and there's more than a dozen hitters on this roster. Hitting coaches are not responsible for maintaining swings and maintaining approaches and attack plans. They give them information, and that's pretty much how this works around baseball. Why some of these guys have gone backwards is the biggest mystery to me.
Yeah, right. I watch these guys in the box. I talk to people like yourself who know the game, and a lot of the sentiment I'm getting is that these guys are pressing and they're stressed out. And Church, I believe that the less success they have over time, the more stressed out they're going to be. And how do you get out of that? Are there like mental coaches on staff? Like how do they work on their mental game?
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that the hitting coaches can help with. They can try to help with, have conversations with them. But again, these are, adult human beings. They're responsible for maintaining that themselves. And it does. You're right. It's just like anything else. Like we see sometimes the rotation, falters for, a time through the rotation, or, Gilbert has a bad start here and there. Kirby has a bad, but then once in a while we see, 5 times through the rotation, it didn't really look so great. There's a lot of pressure on the rotation because if they give up 3 runs, it feels like you have no chance, let alone, a 50-50 to still win that game. And giving up 3 runs in 6 innings, really isn't bad. It's league average. And so there's a lot of pressure on them. Ryan Stanek comes in and throws 1 bad pitch, and it feels like, well, there you go, kind of ruined the game. Their chances to win are over. These guys are all under a lot of pressure as a result of the inconsistencies at the plate. And it's not just inconsistencies. They're consistently bad. So they're one of the most consistent offenses in baseball. No matter which metric you look at very best, they're 22nd in baseball in offense. They're 27th in runs scored. There's no other way to look at it. You're right. They're putting guys in a position where they're having to think, I got to be more than I'm capable of being. And that's never, we talk a lot about it. This goes in every sport. You want to put your quarterback in the best position to succeed, right? Your wide receiver, your offensive line, your running back, your defense. It's the same in baseball. When you're asking Cal Raleigh to be a 3-hole hitter, you're asking him to be something he's not. When you're asking Mitch Garver to be a 2-hole hitter, you're asking him to be something he's not. And that is abundantly clear and true throughout this lineup right now.
You said that maybe the most puzzling thing to you is not necessarily where they are, the guys they added, but why guys have gone backwards. You said it was most curious to me. I've been thinking about it since you said that and just kind of wondering, like, how do you even respond to that? Like, how do you respond if you're a coach? How do you respond if you're a front office? In my mind, I would think like, well, if your assumption is that going backwards for a talented player is a mental thing, maybe you add a bat, maybe you send a message. I don't know. How do you think a club can approach guys who are going backwards?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways. One, it's kind of big picture, and that's at this point that's adding some help from the outside. It really is the trade route at this point. You do so despite their struggles the last 3 weeks or so. You are still in first place. You have a good chance to get to the postseason. You add to this club. You absolutely, unequivocally, you add to that lineup as much as you possibly can, and try to take some of the pressure off those guys. Try to put Garver and Cal and Julio in better positions to succeed by hitting them at spots in the lineup, by supporting them. One thing we talk about, I was talking about this on my show yesterday, one thing we talk about quite a bit is protecting a hitter. We used to talk about that traditionally a lot. He's got no protection in the lineup, and it used to just mean, hey, you got to have a bunch of good hitters behind him. And that's true. You got to put hitters behind Julio so, the opposing team doesn't, bear down and focus and avoid the strike zone with him because they know they'll just get everybody out behind him and they don't have to pitch to him. Well, the same goes for putting batters on base, runners on base, ahead of your hitters, because then that pitcher has to pitch stress innings and they have to pitch from the stretch. Most pitchers aren't quite as good from the stretch. Their command goes a little bit. Maybe their stuff goes a little bit. And you put pressure on the defense as well. The Mariners don't do any of that well at all. They don't have good hitters behind their good hitters. They don't put runners on base enough. They're not creating those opportunities, and you have to go out and do that. I fully believe in, for lack of a better phrase, I've been calling it kind of the unlock theory. I think if you add a couple of solid bats, you don't even necessarily need superstars. You add a couple of solid bats to the middle of the order. Get a 3-hole hitter or a 4-hole hitter, get a true, legitimate 5 or 6 hitter, and all of a sudden Julio becomes better, J.P. Crawford becomes a little better, Cal Raleigh becomes a little better, Mitch Garver becomes a little better. It just kind of trickles down. We saw this for a very short period of time last August after they acquired Dom Canzone and Josh Rojas, because those two guys had a nice little run offensively in August down toward the bottom of the order, and it made everybody else just a little bit better. And that's when Julio was at his best. J.P. Crawford had a monster, stretch there, and they scored tons of runs. It seemed like every time you look up, there were 2 outs in the first inning, but it was 3-0 Seattle, and nobody could get Julio Rodriguez out. I truly believe in that theory, and I think that's one of the bigger reasons why I believe no matter what's going on offensively, you add to the offense this year and help yourself and try to kind of unlock some of those guys that have gone backward this year.
Church, I was talking to Stacy, and I mentioned like the gift and the curse of being Palanco is that you've been in the league so long that I feel like Service is saying, all right, he's shown he can do it. Like, come on. Like, I'm going to give him as many opportunities as possible. The curse is that you've shown you can do it, and people expect you to do it. How patient would you be with Palanco? Do you think it's time to see more Bliss or Demo out there, or do you feel like this veteran is eventually going to come around?
Yeah, you do want, if he's on your roster, you got to give him opportunities. But at this point, when he went on the IL, it's like, okay, you kind of have to restart the clock. He's going to come off the IL. You're going to have to give him some starts, let him stack some at bats and see if he can get it going. But I think we're getting to the point now where, he's had that opportunity and nothing's changed. He's a mess mechanically right now. His bat path is awful. He's going to pop the ball up. He's going to be late. He manages 2 swings, so it's really difficult when you start to struggle from both sides. You got 2 swings, man. They are 2 different swings. It's not just the same, and he's flipping around from the other side. Not Eddie Murray, in this situation. So it's really difficult. He's pretty much a disaster at this point. And to be honest with you, I'd understand if, Seattle wanted to call it right now and just say, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to go with Dylan Moore. We're going to give Ryan Bliss a few, more at-bats. And, we're going to go out on the market and try to find just a viable, option. Because if you're going to ultimately DFA Jorge Palanco because you don't feel like he's going to get it going, you need another infielder on your roster. And there's no one in Tacoma that fits that bill, or that player would be up already. I mentioned Ahmed Rosario in Tampa, or Paul DeYoung in Chicago, coming over, playing a little second, short, third, and giving the club a viable, option that's actually performing a little bit this year. Even though that's not necessarily one of your quote unquote bats that you want to acquire, you got to send someone out at second base that can put together some quality at bats for you down at the bottom of the order at the very least. He started to strike out a little more last year, so there's a trend. But considering how bad he's been, I mean, I'm not a big batting average on balls in play guy, but he's hitting 274 on batting average on ball. You know, when he puts the ball in play, you know, some okay, it's not good, but some okay things happen. When you're striking out a third of the time, you know, you have no chance. You have to hit the ball out of the ballpark 40 times to have value, and that's just not who Jorge Palanco really ever has been. So, you know, his attack plan seems to be, you know, to go up there and try to be Adam Dunn, and you know, that's just not going to work. He's got to be a guy that hits line drives and sprays the ball around, and you can tell the difference. I went back 2021, 2022. His swing is different. And fixing that, though, and identifying what's wrong and what's causing it and going back and fixing it isn't the easiest thing to do, and it takes time. We're seeing that with Julio Rodriguez right now.
One of the most popular questions, or I should say statements, that we see, Jason, is probably one that you see a lot on X.com, which is people saying, is this a philosophical thing? Is it an organizational thing? Because I think it's just a natural thought to have when a lot of people struggle at once, that it must be some overarching thing. What do you make of the take that, oh, it's a Mariners offensive philosophy that's behind hitter struggles here?
Well, if that were the case, the reason Cal Raleigh struggles and the reason Jorge Palanco is struggling and the reason Julio is struggling this year but not last year and the reason J.P. Crawford hasn't had as good a year this year versus last year would mean that it's the same reason, and it's not. Like, Julio and Palanco have completely different issues, even though some of it's mechanical. Julio's is about pitch selection as much as anything else. Which pitches does he swing at? Which pitches does he work? Is he patient enough? Does he lay off of this? You get into a lot of pitchers' counts, and you're going to be in trouble. Julio's going to see that hard stuff in off the plate, and he has a really tough time laying off of it, let alone those sliders away from right-handed pitchers. Palanco, I was just saying, the timing is part of the mechanical thing with him, and he's got two swings to match, a completely different thing. J.P. Crawford's really just had a lot of bad luck, you know, to be honest with you. Like, he's actually had a better year with quality at bats than the results would suggest. Cal Raleigh, I don't want to say the Cal Raleigh thing's a little bit of a mystery. He's striking out more than he ever has. He's always been a high strikeout guy, and he's just not getting the ball in the air, you know, to his pull side, you know, as a lefty, because they don't want to pitch him there. So he's going to have to go the other way. So his might be, you know, approach. He might need to think, I need to hit the ball at the middle and go the other way a little bit more. It's different. So the Mariners' philosophy isn't forced on hitters either. Their philosophy is very general, and it's actually a philosophy that every team in baseball has. You don't want to expand the zone, and when you get the cookie, kill it. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's the control the zone mantra. Every team has that. That's not really a team-specific, you know, philosophy. So no, that's not it. I mean, it is more difficult to hit at T-Mobile Park, and a lot of times it will take guys out of what they do well. We heard that from Teoscar Hernandez. We've heard other free agents, you know, talk a little bit behind the scenes why they don't really want to come to Seattle. And it's funny because J.D. Martinez, who ended up going to the Mets, spoke about that a little bit over the offseason, and he's got really good numbers in Seattle at T-Mobile Park, and he still didn't want to come to Seattle because of how difficult it is to hit there. So that does get into hitters' heads sometimes. So it's not a hitting philosophy. And to be honest with you, the most ridiculous part about that idea is it's not like Seattle acquires Mitch Garver and Jorge Palanco and then forces them to, like, change into the type of hitter they want them to be. They specifically acquired both of those players because historically, throughout their careers, they've put the ball in play and produced. Why would you change that? They didn't go to them and say, all right, you're going to take the first pitch more often. No, that's who they have always been. They've still been able to put the ball in play. They both had power. Like, they didn't go to them and force, like, some sort of weird, attack plan on them that's causing them to struggle more this year than they ever have. That's not it. It's kind of silly when you think about it that way. That didn't happen. You know, they changed jobs. They're going to be who they are because the team wants them to be who they've been. That's not it. That's really, truly not it. And that mantra, that control the zone mantra, that's not a philosophy that's new to anyone at all. Maybe we haven't heard it here in Seattle until the Mariners came up with it several years back, but that's something the Dodgers want out of their hitters. That's something the Diamondbacks want out of their hitters. Every single team in baseball preaches that sort of thing, from the minor leagues all the way through the big leagues.
Hey, Church, you mentioned to start this conversation that there's a bunch of things going on with this team, right? So we've talked about management. We talked about the players. Where does service kind of factor into this? And, what's his role in the problems and how to correct it?
So managing baseball is not what it used to be. What doesn't happen very often at all anymore, and it used to happen constantly all the time, is a manager using his gut to make decisions. A manager saying, I got a feeling about this matchup. What they're using is data. They're using information, and it's an organizational thing. So if the organization believes, let's be really strict, just for example, on handedness. When you get an opportunity to get Mitch Haniger in there late in the game with the runner on in place of Josh Rojas against a left-handed reliever, we're going to do it. And we're not going to use Mitch Haniger's massive odd struggles halfway through the season against left-handed pitching to deter us from that. They did that, I believe, with Luke Raley earlier in the homestand. Like, that's just an organizational philosophy that maybe needs to change, that maybe needs to be expanded a little bit, particularly at this point in the season. I know they've done that in the past, but they seem to be, pretty strict on things like that. Scott Service is not making gut feels. He's not going against the information that the analytics department is providing, that the front office is providing. The operations folks come up with this. This is how we're going to do it. They know how they're going to handle that situation pretty much 99% of the time when it comes up. They know which relievers they're going to bring in certain situations, so those relievers know their roles. Pinch hitters and pinch runners know their roles. They pretty much know when they're going to be called upon. That is how they've designed this thing. It's really hard to pin things on Scott Service. Like, a manager is not, you guys remember Lloyd McClendon when he was in Seattle? He was the manager of Seattle. It was a little bit of a rough patch. We're about 10 years out from that tenure now, but he said something that always stuck with me, and it's actually kind of ridiculous, but he was right, technically speaking. He said he's not the manager so he can babysit players. He's not trying to teach. His job isn't to teach these players how to hit, how to field, how to run. They're adults. They're big leaguers now, and that's true. But back then, managers were even more gut feel, right? Like, managers are so hands off when it comes to that now. If somebody's going to help, for the most part, if somebody's going to help Kyle Raleigh with his catching, maybe Scott Service gets involved because he has catching experience. But other than that, this is hands off. This is position coaches, and Perry Hill is going to help the defense, and that's just that. And Maniac is going to talk base running. Scott Service's role is hands off, and to take responsibility and to see the big picture and to put his staff and his players in the best positions to succeed. And that's based off of information they have before the game even starts. They really know who's going to get those at-bats and in which situations, and who's going to get those innings, and about when they're going to pull Logan Gilbert and about when they're going to pull Luis Castillo. It's not 100%. You might, once in a while see them say, hey, we're, like they did the past time through the rotation, hey, Castillo's at 100 pitches, but it's fine. He's going to get out of this, and then we'll go to the pen after that. So it's very thought out and planned, and it all starts in the offseason. Do we want to do this differently than last year, and what is it supposed to look like if I get in this situation at the 50-game mark, at the 100-game mark? And they know what to depend it on. They're looking around and seeing and trying to find advantages, and one of their advantages is to put players in roles and to not go kind of willy-nilly on that. We're not going to call on Andres Munoz with one out in the sixth inning just because we're going to face the middle of the order. That's not how they roll with that. So it's really no different. And I know a lot of times people want to say, oh, you shouldn't have put in that reliever at that point. It was basically already decided that that's what they were going to do. There's no gut feel really anymore. Certainly not the way there was 10, 20, 30 years ago with the Lou Pinellas and the Dusty Bakers and the Jim Lelands. That is just not how baseball is managed from the dugout anymore.
Well, and it's an entire staff of people. It's not like, well, Scott, he likes his analytics. It's like, no, the organization. And and 29 others all do the same thing. We're keeping you late, but something tells me you would talk about baseball endlessly, so I think that this is okay. My last question, just so I know what I'm looking for in this upcoming series against the Padres, should Julio be playing, what do you want to see from him?
Yeah, the things we've seen consistently all year, hitting the ball on the ground too much. It's pounding the ball in the dirt. There's some lunging going on. There's some imbalance at the plate. But from a result standpoint, I want to see him hit the ball in the middle of the field more and to his pull side more in the air. Not necessarily just fly balls, but line drives in the air. He's pulled an awful lot of ground balls this year, and a lot of times when he's hit the ball hard, it's been to the backside. It's been to the opposite field. How many times have you seen Julio line out to the first or second baseman this year compared to the last couple of years? That has happened an awful lot relative to 22 and 23. His strength is hitting the ball, to the middle of the field, right center, all the way over to straightaway left field. And when he's doing that, he's going well. And the ball's going to leave the yard more, and you're going to see the extra base hits, and you're going to see more contact because that means he's on time. Being on time is the number one most important thing for all hitters, because if you're not, nothing else matters. And Julio hasn't been consistently on time all year. If we start seeing that, that's the sign he's starting to turn it around.
I hope we see that. And it feels like, obviously, they can add pieces at July 30th, the trade deadline. But if Julio doesn't perform, then it's all for nothing. Is there anything in you that says that the Mariners would do something they haven't done, at least in the past few years, and be really aggressive when it goes to acquiring a bat? Or do you feel like it'll be the same old thing when the 30th rolls around?
I think they're going to try to do something a little bigger than they have. I keep talking about how great of a deal the Suarez-Winker trade was with the Reds. And granted, they didn't make that in July. But they haven't made a deal like that. So I understand that Winker didn't work out, but just, from a process standpoint, you got to give up something to get something. They gave up some big names in that deal to get both of those players, and it made perfect sense. They got a short-term answer at third base in Suarez, who ended up being the better end of the deal. And, in theory, Jesse Winker was a guy they were going to have for more than a year or two that was going to hit somewhere in the middle of the lineup. So was going to hit a bunch of doubles and hit for average and get on base and make pretty good contact. And they haven't made a deal like that since, or anything even close. I think part of the reason is their farm system lacked the kind of maturity that's going to make it a little easier to go out and make a deal like that. You end up, in years past, you end up making a deal where you're trading guys down in A-ball and you're getting 60 cents on the dollar for those guys. Well, you have Tyler Locklear in AAA, Harry Ford and Cole Young and Logan Evans are in AA. Even the 18, 19, 20-year-olds like Michael Arroyo and Laz Montez, they've moved up to high A now. I think you have a much more mature farm system. It's a little deeper. And I think the opportunities to make significant trades for offense, they're there. I think they were there in the offseason, but I think, that the more time that passes, those opportunities are bigger and better. And I think they need to go out and get two guys. Maybe one of them is all-star level, capable, that you can stick in the 4-hole in your lineup or behind Julio if you want to put Julio back in the 2 spot. I think it's there, and I think they're going to try to do that. I'm not sure the opportunity is going to be there from a supply standpoint. That's going to be the big thing. So many teams are in it. Go look at the National League at last look. All but 2 teams in the National League were under 4 games back in the wild card chase. If you want to go out and get Pete Alonso, or you want to go out and trade for Isak Paredes from the Rays, those teams have to be in sell mode to some level, and there's just not a lot of teams right now that are, and we're just a couple of weeks away from the trade deadline, so that's the thing to keep an eye on. Are there enough teams out there with some bats to trade that are actually in sell mode?
Big questions about this team right now. What's it mean that Harry Ford is playing left field? And what the heck is going on with Jorge Polanco? What do you do about it? Go listen to the latest episode of Baseball Things, available now. Just dropped. He is Jason Churchill. Thanks so much for staying late with us, Jason.
Thanks, Church.
Anytime. You got it.
See ya. All right. Coming up in NFL headlines, who is the best dual threat quarterback of all time? One of the greatest has his answer next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Realistically, who would you like to see the Mariners go after?
Weekdays 2 to 7.
A lot of people talking about Luis Robert Jr. Sorry, I just can't get past the fact that he doesn't play every game. He's not healthy. That's a hard no from me anyway.
For me, it's about what is he going to cost in the way of prospects and, from your big league roster perhaps. Pete Alonso, that's a rental. What are you comfortable giving up for a guy who's going to be here for a couple of months?
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know that nationwide, our clinics have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on Google. This tells you that our patients are really seeing results. Here's what some of them are saying. The results are close to phenomenal. On top of that, the staff and the scheduling are top-notch, and my technician is a consummate professional. Another patient said, I called numerous clinics, and West Coast was by far the best. The other places wouldn't give me any information over the phone, but West Coast answered all of my questions. My wife and I were skeptical, but we've already noticed the difference. This was a game changer for us. West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands of men reverse their ED using acoustic wave therapy. No pills or shots necessary. Give us a call today so we can help you too.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Chelsea Handler, Little Big B.
I say I don't want to be a mother, but I wouldn't mind being like a divorced dad, you know? I could crush that role, coming in hot at like 50% all the time.
August 1st, 8 p.m., Muckleshoot Event Center. On sale now at muckleshootcasino.com/entertainment for tickets. Chelsea Handler, live.
Or a stepfather. That's another role I would crush.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
4,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in Washington state. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients in our community. Join us at Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle for an afternoon of hope and inspiration. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th at nwhopeandhealing.org. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Savings event going on right now through July 21st. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Savings event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. PacificLamp.com.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kid kind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
The Everett 3-on-3 basketball tournament presented by Boeing is here. If you're on a registered team, head to the tournament on July 13th and 14th. Not a player? Not a problem. Grab some popcorn and don't miss out on the McLean Insurance Slam Dunk Contest, the Snohomish County Sports Commission 3-point shot contest, and the Everett Downtown Storage Skills Challenge. There's something for everyone at the 3-on-3 in downtown Everett. A special thank you to event sponsors Amazon, Snohomish County TPA, North Sound Media, and Xfinity.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Taking a look around the NFL, we're going to start with some sad news out of Minnesota. Vikings 2024 fourth-round pick KIRO Jackson was tragically killed in a car accident over the weekend. He was a passenger in a car that was struck by a drunk driver. Two of his high school teammates also died in the crash. The driver of the other vehicle got away without injuries, it seems like, as did the driver of another vehicle that was involved in the crash.
Sad story, man. He just got an opportunity to live out his dreams in the NFL. I could imagine what that car ride was like. He's with his high school teammates. They won a state championship. You're reminiscing, having fun, and just like that, it's gone, man. So feel bad for the family, the other two young men involved as well. Tragic, man. Hate to see it.
KIRO spent time with both Bama and Oregon. Alabama put out a statement saying their thoughts and prayers are with his family. Oregon head coach Dan Lanning also put out a statement. Again, KIRO spent his final season there saying, "Love you at Real KIRO. At a loss for words. I will miss your smile. Great player, better person." Next story here on his own podcast, Cam Newton called Lamar Jackson the greatest dual-threat quarterback of all time.
Do you see or think of yourself as the greatest dual threat to ever play the game?
No, Lamar Jackson.
Why Lamar?
Well, Lamar's style is a little different than mine. He got big play, any play.
Yeah.
Yes, he got speed that I never had, and he's just electric. And then, I play the game more powerful. You know,
you're gonna run through you. They might run around you.
Yeah, I can run, but I might probably get caught.
I actually like the way that he described himself. First of all, Cam, keeping it humble, saying Lamar, he has big playability each time, but he is a different dual threat quarterback than was Vic, than is Lamar.
Lamar is elusive. Cam Newton was powerful. I'm looking at the quarterbacks in NFL history with the most rushing attempts. 10, you got Frank Tarkenton. 9, Tom Brady.
What?
8, Aaron Rodgers.
That's a longevity thing.
7, Steve Young. 6, John Elway, Randall Cunningham, Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson. At number 2, your boy Russell Wilson, and then Cam Newton. But no, I think he's right. The way that Lamar Jackson runs with the football is like when a receiver has the ball in open field or a running back has the ball in open field. Cam Newton was just powerful. You would not want to tackle him. Lamar's going to make you miss. I agree 100%.
I have two separate questions. One, who is your best dual threat quarterback of all time? 2, who's the best dual threat quarterback right now? Because you have a couple choices with Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar.
My guy's Michael Vick. Michael Vick.
That's my answer too.
Goodness gracious, he changed the game. Big ups to Randall Cunningham. He's probably the first real mobile quarterback, but mine is Mike Vick. Right now, it's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
It's Lamar Jackson. And then I go maybe Josh Allen.
I would put Josh Allen before Hurts, even though I think both had the same number, like 15, I want to say, rushing touchdowns last year. No, that can't be right. I don't know.
See, I'll look it up for you.
Yeah, they both, I think they tied in rushing touchdowns. But, I think I would have Josh over Jalen too, and maybe I'm being crazy about that.
Yeah, they both had 15.
Yeah, both had 15. Michael Vick. I think all time, I wasn't watching Fran Tarkenton games, so
Me either.
excuse me for maybe missing out on that one, and if anyone's appalled by that. But I definitely remember Michael Vick, and I think I would pit both Vick and Lamar over Cam, even though Cam might be one of the best players I've seen in person.
Cam was probably the most feared rushing quarterback because he's so dang big. You didn't want to tackle him, but the other ones will just make you miss.
All right, one quarterback has an idea on how things should be run in the league should they switch to an 18-game schedule. On today's Pardon My Take, Joe Burrow, who was a guest, shared an interesting idea for how the NFL should hold a second bye week if there is an 18-game schedule.
Gotta have 2 bye weeks.
I like
And I
that.
think it'd be cool to do a normal bye week schedule that it is now. Like, have it spread out. But then, like, week 13, do, like, the Pro Bowl break, where you're doing, like, the 7-on-7 and all the skills challenges like the NBA does, because I think that would get more ratings for the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
And then it would also give everybody that bye week going into, like, the last 6 games of the year.
Now, I do not mind this idea. You're shaking your head.
Horrible idea.
Why?
You don't want to have the Pro Bowl week 13 in the middle of the season. We just saw Myles Garrett break his big toe during the Pro Bowl. You don't want to risk these guys getting hurt at all. I like the 2 bye weeks. I think you should have 2 bye weeks. CFL has 18 games. They have 2 bye weeks. Need to do it. But the Pro Bowl, nah, man. Save for the end of the season. Make it all pageantry and stuff. Putting your players at any type of risk during the season is a bad move. But he's a quarterback. All he's going to do is stand there and throw the football, not get
He's
touched.
thinking, but I'm just doing the passing drills.
Yeah,
What do you
exactly.
mean? Okay, so I hadn't considered that. You're absolutely right. The reason that I wrote mostly like it except for this is bye weeks extend to week 11. So if you have the bye weeks as normal and then throw in week 13 for everyone, there's going to be like 2 or 3 clubs in there that have week 11 and week 13, and that's it. That's their only break.
Yeah.
For an 18-game schedule, which means, yeah, it's nice. You've got 2 weekends off in between in a month, but you are playing the rest of the year.
Quarterbacks thinking they're smarter than everybody else. Horrible idea, Joe. I like the 2 bye weeks, but no Pro Bowl.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Dak Prescott, good news for him, not a contract extension, but he is out of a walking boot after suffering a minor foot sprain. He's one of the most fascinating quarterbacks, and I hate to say it, but Dallas, one of the most fascinating teams for me heading into this season. I know Dallas gets plenty of hate, but it is a really intriguing situation there.
I saw a stat that said Tobias Harris will be the first NBA player to make over $300 million and not make an all-star team. That's kind of the way I feel about Dak Prescott. He's been in Pro Bowls and stuff, but he's going to make so much money and not have any type of success or amount of success of Lamar Jackson or even Josh Allen, who haven't won a Super Bowl yet. So, yeah, finesse the game. Good for you, Dak. Let's see what you do this season.
Yeah, I'm surprised how many people don't point to Mike McCarthy. I would say people point to Jerry Jones, but aren't sure exactly what to blame him for.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're in charge of acquiring talent, but you've got a ton of talent. This is an incredibly talented team.
He's too involved.
But
when they have meetings and they're talking about game planning, he's in the room.
Yes, and it's a problem, but how mad... I think that when you have a problem that extends over the course of decades, it's a top-down issue. So don't get me wrong. I'm on board with being like, what's Jerry doing? However, they are an exceptionally talented team, a very deep team, a team that in the last 3 seasons have been 1 through 5 in offense and defense. There's a certain point where you go, well, what happens? You get to the postseason and what happens? You just fall apart.
He's the common denominator. It's him. Get out the day meeting room, go to your suite, take a vacation, do something. Let them coaches coach.
Yeah. We got some people disagreeing on the mobile quarterback situation. Newton would shake off defenders, literally shrug them off like fleas, then throw a strike if that wasn't open when he runs. Only one better was Vic. Maybe Cam Newton's being humble, putting Lamar over him.
Listen, Lamar Jackson throws a better ball than Cam Newton.
Woo!
He does. Better football.
Why do you think Lamar doesn't get as much credit as being a passer?
Because of the way it looks. His release doesn't look like the traditional quarterback release. This is the same way Tim Tebow got hate, but it was deserved because he could not throw that football like that. It's the way it looks. It's not pleasing to the eye, I think.
Foul Territory, Scott Braun joining us at 1. Can't wait to get a national perspective on what's happening with the Mariners and how this trade deadline is looking. We're just a couple weeks out. Before then, though, 2 things we learned today about the Seattle Mariners.
Seattle Sports is your exclusive home for Mariners baseball.
That baby is out of here!
Every strikeout.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Bryce Miller caps his day of 7 scoreless.
Every home run.
Goodbye baseball, he did it! Julio Rodriguez.
Every Mariners win.
And Mitch Haniger, just like the old days, he wins it for the Mariners in the 10th inning.
Stream every game at seattlesports.com or on the Seattle Sports app. We are Seattle Sports.
Summertime is Pacific Power Batteries time. Okay, maybe that's a stretch. But we do sell more batteries in the spring and summer because you folks are all out there doing stuff. Golf carting and boating and buzzing around on stuff that needs batteries. When's a good time? How about tomorrow? We're open 7 days a week to test any battery and let you know the honest answer. Summertime and the cranking is easy. Happy trails from Pacific Power Batteries.
Hi, this is Ursula Reutin from my friends at CertaPro Painters. Summer's finally here, and it's the perfect time to give your home or business an exterior makeover. I recently had my home painted by CertaPro Painters, and I was blown away by their attention to detail. They did a beautiful job. Now it's your turn. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters. That's CertaPro.com.
Looking for the best synthetic turf in the Northwest? At Synthetic Turf Northwest, we resell our premium line of Northwest Pro natural products to both businesses and consumers. From industry-leading supplies to expert advice, we have everything you need to complete your installation, whether it's for your customers or your own DIY project. Call us today and discover why we're the Northwest's trusted source for quality synthetic turf. Get started with Synthetic Turf Northwest and elevate your outdoor space. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
Two things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV: choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
Sinking or uneven concrete around your home? You need to call Matt Vey Foundation Repair.
Hi, I'm Matthew Cote with Matt Vey Foundation Repair. If you have an uneven, cracked driveway, sunken sidewalk, or sagging cement porch, we offer an easy and cost-effective solution.
When you call Matt Vey, you'll get a realistic bid, meticulous cleanup, and a lifetime warranty. No one else offers that kind of guarantee. For your free evaluation, call 8449-MATT-VEY or visit gomattvey.com.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Foul Territory gets such good interviews and gets so much out of players. I can't wait to talk with host Scott Braun. He joins us in 15 minutes. Before we get to it, you and I, Bump, talked with Jason Churchill about the Mariners. We had a lot of questions about the offense, about Scott's service, about what's going on with these bats. And we settled on two things that we learned. First, we asked him whether he thinks the Mariners' offensive struggles come down to players and execution.
At the end of the day, for the most part, this comes down to the kind of hitters they have and the execution that's occurring. Because Mitch Garver's strikeout rate has gone up 6% over his career, I think it is, and almost 8%, 7.5% over last year. The Mitch Garver acquisition made sense. The Jorge Palanco acquisition made perfect sense. I was talking to rival executives going, they got a chance to be a really good offense over there. And it's just gone backwards. Cal Raleigh's gone backwards. Julio Rodriguez has obviously gone backwards. I'm not sure how you can blame anybody but the players in that case. There's a couple of hitting coaches, and there's more than a dozen hitters on this roster. Hitting coaches are not responsible for maintaining swings and maintaining approaches and attack plans. They give them information, and that's pretty much how this works around baseball. Why some of these guys have gone backwards is the biggest mystery to me.
Put the onus on the players, and I'll also throw on Bump. Another part of this was saying, in addition to him not blaming outright hitting coaches, he didn't see it as an offensive philosophy issue because he said players aren't struggling for the same reason. Everyone isn't struggling in the same way.
He also said everybody in the league wants to control the zone. This ain't nothing new. Right? Put the ball in play. Swing at pitches that you're supposed to swing at. I'm looking at Mitch, man, and he's confusing. Last year he hit 19 bombs. He got 12 so far this year. Last year he had 11 doubles. He has 12 so far this year. So when it comes for like the power numbers, right, slugging and stuff, it's okay. But just the overall game, now he's batting 179, on base at 294, 371 slugging, 664 OPS. Last year he was just better than that. So Mitch is like, look, I have the capabilities of driving in some runs and slugging at times. It's the consistency. And I think that's what's missing because you can look at anyone on this lineup and say they've all had their moments. Minus Julio. I don't think Julio really has had like sustained moments yet this year. It's like you hit that bomb in Oakland. You're like, okay, yeah, we got it together.
He's got to fix it.
Yeah, and then he goes a drought and then hit one against Baltimore. You're saying, okay, here we go. And then he gets hurt. I think he's the only one who hasn't had like a run of success. But, yeah, it's always on the players, man. And then, honestly, when the Mariners picked up Palanco, we liked it. We go, yeah, okay. We're looking at his numbers. He looks good. Year 14, though, or year 10, 11, though. Now, when you picked up Mitch, you go, yeah, I remember what he did to us, you know, what the Rangers did. Okay, it makes sense. But for some reason, they get here, and it just drops, man. And look, Mitch is 33. I believe Palanco is 30. Maybe the timing is just off. Maybe the reason why these guys were available and the Mariners were able to get them, he mentioned this as well, is because that organization knew there's something in his swing, there's something in his body, his prep, something isn't right, and we foresee him declining here pretty soon. And the Mariners picked him up and tried to fix him. So I think the timing of their deals are all bad. You mentioned, I don't know if you said it on air or not, that they went after Colton Wong two years before they got him and just fell in love with him and said, well, he's that guy he was 2 years ago, and he wasn't. There's clearly something wrong with that department when it comes to projecting the performance of some of these players.
Yeah, I liked hearing that was what we were talking about earlier. I think I mentioned that I was surprised that less people in calls put it on players, though you, as someone who's been a pro and collegiate player, were like, look, I'm doing what Cal's doing. At the end of the day, as a player, as a professional, you look at yourself, and it's really hard not to put players first when you're looking through it. I get the idea of fringe talent and questioning whether the Mariners have an issue of signing guys after they've dropped off.
Don't be the Lakers. That's my Lakers, man.
Yeah.
We sign dudes old and be like, oh, well,
maybe it'll work.
We remember him from 4 years ago. It's like, nah, man, they old now.
It's like a now 87 CD, or like you're trying to put together something of just hits and being like, look, it's great. And you're like, man, these were on the radio 2 years ago and they were cool. Like, it's not working out. But yeah, I really appreciated the point about these guys are all struggling. They're all struggling in different ways for different reasons. And it's hard to think that an offensive philosophy is the reason when guys are struggling with different things.
It's all the same in baseball. Put the ball in play. Turn on the ones you can. Take a yard. I mean, baseball is so beautiful because it's remained the same the most out of any of our sports in this country. It's the same. Like, you put on the film from 30, 40 years ago, you're going to see the same plays being made, the same type of philosophies. Obviously, the data and technology is different. But, yeah, everyone, you pull some pitches, you push the others, you lay down bunts when the third baseman's back. There's just fundamental things in baseball that are never going to change.
All right, if it's not the offense, then it must be the manager, right? Here's what Jason had to say about Scott Service.
Managing baseball is not what it used to be. What doesn't happen very often at all anymore, it used to happen constantly all the time, is a manager using his gut to make decisions. A manager saying, I got a feeling about this matchup. What they're using is data. They're using information, and it's an organizational thing. So if the organization believes, let's be really strict, just for example, on handedness, when you get an opportunity to get Mitch Haniger in there late in the game with the runner on in place of Josh Rojas against a left-handed reliever, we're going to do it. And we're not going to use Mitch Haniger's massive odd struggles halfway through the season against left-handed pitching to deter us from that.
There are times that this organization's focus on handedness frustrates me, especially when you've got hitters that are very bad and then some like Josh Rojas that are more consistent. However, it is very clear that it's not just Scott Service who's out there going, hey, I've been punching away, I've been crunching away at numbers on the computer and I've got these analytics. There's an entire department dedicated to giving Service and the coaching staff information that they are then expected to use. It's not optional.
No, then imagine, say he gets off the chart and goes with his gut and they lose that game. After the game, he's going upstairs to talk to folks. They're like, well, what were you thinking here? The chart says at this point of the game against this pitcher or this batter, you're supposed to do this. Like, he's working under a lot of rules and expectations. There's nothing like back in the day where, just like Church said, I feel something, so I'm going to go for it. Stacey, I remember, I'll never forget, I coached at Monroe High School. We played Mount Si, and we're in the playoffs, right? And we're driving to win the game. And they line up in a look. I'm not supposed to call this play. It's a trap look, right? They double A gap us. We're not supposed to run this play, but I still call it because I go, we're just better. We're just going to whoop them. I don't even care. My coach is in my ear. Coach, don't call that play. It's not going to work. I go, watch it. It's going to work. My gut is telling me my boys are going to get it done. But when we get it done and they score. Could you imagine Service is sitting there, and he probably feels something like, man, I need this guy in. And I go back and I think of Rojas, taking out Rojas and putting in Demo. Rojas was the only player with 2 hits in that game. The only player with hit in that game.
Yes, the only player with hits.
Only player with hits in that game, and he puts in Demo. I guarantee you there's a chart somewhere that said, in this situation, Demo is the better matchup. Instead, I bet you he would have been like, hey, man, stick with the hot hand. He's the only guy with a hit. So there are examples that we don't even see or understand the rules and obligations and constrictions that Service is working under. So I'm glad that he said that, because we had people texting in, oh, his decision to do this, he sticks to the pitch count too much and this, that, and the third. I go, nah, there's a game plan going on to these things.
I do think there's a way where it overlaps, though, and that's with what you do when the things affecting players aren't analytics, right? Like, here's where Service is responsible. This club is in danger of losing its lead in the AL West and might. Let's say that happens after this weekend. Let's say something happens, maybe heading out of the All-Star break. How do you keep a club believing? How do you keep a club together? That's what falls on Service's shoulders. Jorge Palanco, I would bet money he's struggling with confidence right now. He's not happy. He's really, feeling it, even if he pretends he's not. How do you manage him? That's where Service is responsible.
Yep. Bring him into office. Hey, Jorge. Hey, do you? You've done this before. Instill that confidence. That's it's hard to be a manager in MLB. It is tough, man, because you answer to people who have data, who probably have never played the game, and they're telling you how to run the team.
Foul territory. Scott Braun has been watching a lot of teams this year, so we'll find out how the Mariners compare and how they can get better coming up next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Joel in Tacoma says, what's more stressful to watch, the Seahawks in the fourth quarter or the Mariners in 7, 8, and 9?
Weekdays 10 to 2.
Mariners all day. Mariners all day. They have shown they're capable of being in any type of game. I think we're slowly starting to figure out that they're capable of throwing hands with the best and keeping them in the game. The next step will be for them just to dominate the weaker teams.
Don't miss an hour of the show. Find the podcast at seattlesports.com.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need.
If your home has air conditioning, congratulations, because it looks like this summer is going to be a scorcher. But to make sure your AC system is working at its best, Deere Services is offering an inspection and tune-up with a no breakdown guarantee and no service fee for just $49, a $129 value. Assure yourself of a comfortable, cool summer. Visit DEARservices.net, make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours or give you a $100 credit. Deere Services, there when you need us most.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs?
The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
I started Davis Law Group 30 years ago with the goal of bringing the highest quality of legal representation to accident victims. Seattle has changed a lot in that time, and the needs of drivers and accident victims have grown. I'm happy to say that we have too. We've expanded our team to take on the biggest challenges for accident victims across the state. Contact Washington's best personal injury team today at 206-888-8888 or visit us online at davislawgroupseattle.com.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners have an off day today before starting a series against the Padres tomorrow. So in the meantime, you've got extra innings. That's tonight at 7 p.m., hosted by Curtis Rogers, so you can still get your Mariners fix. In a photo posted to social media earlier this week, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott was seen walking around in Cabo in a walking boot, which prompted some people to question whether he'd had off-season surgery. Per ESPN's Todd Archer, though, there's nothing to be worried about. Todd says Dak suffered a foot sprain that temporarily required a boot, but he's out of it now and isn't expected to be impacted by the injury when Dallas opens up camp on July 25th.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Foul territory, Scott Braun joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, continuing our conversation about the Mariners. We'll take a look around the rest of the league as well. Scott, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on? Stacy and Michael, I feel like I'm probably doing better than you two and a lot of Seattle fans right now because Foul territory covers all 30 teams. I do watch a ton of Mariners baseball. Dave Sims is one of my favorite broadcasters, but it is a tough watch right now for as much as I love pitching. We need to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, see, you've been able to get a little bit of relief, right? You're tuning into the Mariners, maybe keeping an eye, but then you get to watch the Phillies and you get to watch the Guardians and watch some other teams just have fun seasons. And here we are watching a really great pitching staff and a horrendous offense. Let's actually start with that offense. We have been dissecting this for weeks and weeks and weeks, Scott, but especially today. We all know it's a problem, right? Like, you know that they're like 30th in average and you know all the stats. When you watch them play, do you see it as, look, these players are just taking the wrong swings? Or do you think that the team just was assembled with players that maybe were too on the fringe?
Both, which is not great. So
bad combo.
We talked about this a lot. Yeah, it's a bad combo. It's playing out worse than almost anyone expected. But the expectations were low. The offseason conversation on our show was about a team that should have the best pitching in baseball, if not towards the top, right? For starting pitching purposes, you can definitely make a comp with a ball club like the Phillies right now. Okay, whatever. The pitching's awesome. It's a World Series winning staff. And also, just so I don't forget this, Andres Munoz should be an all-star. Hopefully he gets in. He was one of my top snubs. But anyway, for the bats, it didn't look like there was going to be much superstar aircraft carrier support besides Julio, who was a one-man wrecking crew in the second half of last season. As it is, teams are already circling him in the lineup. Now they're not doing it since he's been slumping so badly, but he was the guy, right? He needs help. It hasn't been there. That help usually costs money. It hasn't happened in the offseason. There are big bats that you can go after. I know it's hard to get them. I'm not saying that they're going to sign Juan Soto this offseason. We know that's not going to happen, but last year was the time. I mean, I was calling for it. I was like, the Mariners can keep up with anybody in a trade for Soto. He doesn't get to pick where he goes. It's like, this is a trade they need to make, right? It's 1 year of one of the top 5 hitters in the sport. So that's just one example of what I was calling for. I know that's the extreme example, but on paper, this is not what it's all about. Cam Maven, who's one of the newer members of our show, said it is an approach problem in his mind as well from the guys. It's beyond just pressing and the ballpark. You know, he feels like it's too much watching what's going on down the middle and just focusing too much on taking pitches and then also focusing too much on power. Yes, you have to have a ton of power in this sport to win, but also he just feels like there's not enough balance with making contact and delivering those key knocks with runners in scoring position. I was looking at the numbers for the homestand. 10 for 77. They lost all 3 of these homestand series. So it's really bad right now. I think it's worse than we anticipated because I don't think anyone expected Julio to be this down in the first half. And hopefully he bounces back. But non-fastballs are just getting him in every way right now. He was crushing those pitches last year, and he's barely done any damage against them this year. He's rolling over everything. So add it all up, I'm very worried.
Scott, tell me about this this ballpark, man. I've been looking at stats and numbers, and it's no joke. It's difficult to hit in Seattle, whether it's March or July. For some reason, it's just tough. When you talk to people around the league, is that something that comes up? Do people buy into that, or are we just looking for excuses over here in Seattle?
Yes, to an extent, right? We've spoken to players on Seattle this year. We've spoken to players who have played there quite a bit, and Teoscar Hernandez is always used as the recent example of someone who was outspoken about how he just wasn't seeing the baseball well there. Okay, but we have seen good offense in this park in the past. AJ Przinsky's on our show every day. You know, one of my teammates on FT and said it's being used way too much as an excuse publicly, not as much internally by most of the players when he's been around them. So, yeah, I don't think it can cut it. It's one thing if, we have lower scoring games in Seattle, but the swing and miss to this extent is just out of control. And, I know there's a lot of platooning that goes on in the way that they build the ball club. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't, and we've seen teams transition away from that scenario where you're not relying on that for many of your lineup spots. So I think there's a roster construction issue right now. Yeah, I'm cool with Raley, cool with Rojas, cool with Cal, obviously. But with Cal even, Raleigh, I mean, this is a guy in my mind who should be more of like your 6-7 hitter catcher who can pop 30, 35 homers for you. He's being relied way too heavily for the bat that he is. And then, obviously J-Rod's not going anywhere, but they've got to rework about half the lineup spots.
What did you think about the roster heading into the season? Because I think that the arms are even better than I expected them, and the bats are even worse. I obviously thought Julio would get off to maybe not a hot start, but sooner than he has. He didn't have a good first half at all. But, did you like the Palanco signing? Did you think Raley, and Garver, would work out? What did you think about it?
I thought maybe one of those would work out, right? I didn't think all of them were going to work out. I mean, they all had their flaws.
Yeah.
I think Palanco is probably the biggest surprise because he has been a pretty consistent player when he's been on the field. I know he's dealt with injuries a little bit more often the last couple of years. That one's the biggest surprise. Garver, for example, hasn't been a consistent regular. I think the Rangers utilized him much better last year than how they rely on him this year, right? They would pick the right spots for him. He often didn't play every single day. So I wasn't thrilled with their offseason in terms of how they put the lineup together. And I was very vocally angry about the situation because I did feel like fans were jobbed by, the ownership group. I actually give a lot of credit to Jerry Dipoto because, he's being asked to strike at the right time for this team because they've got a World Series winning staff. but you can't increase your budget at all. And maybe I go over that too frequently sometimes, but I didn't go over that 4 years ago. I understood where Seattle was at. But when you do have the chips together to win with the pitching staff, you do have to put a little bit more. You can't tell your GM, hey, we're going to remain stagnant every single year when the organization is thriving, and then expect that the team is going to naturally get better. There's some good things coming up in the farm system pretty soon on the position player side as well, which we probably don't have time to get into. But, yeah, Stacey, I wasn't pleased, and it's just played out worse. I didn't anticipate the strikeouts to be this bad. That's what the front office was focusing on. But I did say, okay, if we're going to get a little more contact this year, we're going to sacrifice a lot of power. I know Gino Suarez isn't having a great year. He had a really good day the other day. I mean, Teo's gone, all that. But those types of hitters, I still think need to exist in Seattle as well. And right now it's like they lost the power and the strikeouts are even worse. It's I know I'm sounding depressing here. That's why I keep mixing in. The pitching's amazing, because it is.
It's a compliment sandwich, but it's so great. The arms are so great.
Hey,
exactly.
Scott, I don't know how much you know about our farm over here in Seattle, but Harry Ford played left field, I believe, the other day, and then Logan Evans has been called back down. And it looks like these guys are posturing to possibly make a move when it comes to a trade or whatnot. How attractive are these young players? I mean, it feels like that's all the Mariners have to lean on right now are their prospects. That's what they do best, right? Develop arms and get some young prospects. How attractive do you think these two would be?
Yeah, I think them plus Emerson Hancock's name is going to come up quite frequently. I know in the past they've been hesitant to trade from young starting pitching, but that seems to be the one name that I think they would be okay with. Obviously, I'm not on the phone with Jerry, but I'm going off of, other insiders that I talked to. Ken Rosenthal's a regular on our show. We asked him about this during his last appearance on FT on Friday, and he did agree with us that would be the name that you would be most familiar with that could get you something big in his mind, right? That would be, either a very, very good 1 year hitting rental or half season hitting rental or multiple, or even a player that you could control for multiple years, which I know Jerry is usually a big fan of, right? Okay, I'll acquire some bats, but I want to be able to have them beyond this season. So, no, I think there are plenty of names in this farm system. This is, I would say, probably in the top 10, top 12 farm system. I'd have to look at where Baseball America has them right now. So they'll be in good shape. They have the assets to do it. I think that ownership will give Jerry the room to make moves like this, because you get to the trade deadline and a lot of guys that are making big money obviously are going to cost significantly less. So I actually have a lot of faith that I think he's going to go nuts. Like, I think he's going to acquire at least 2 or 3 bats that you're going to see, in the lineup on a somewhat regular, everyday basis. So we can look at some names. I haven't totally focused on it, but I know who could be available. So we can go through some of those names, but I do think he's going to do something drastic, because this is so bad.
Hey, let's keep talking about the trade market a little bit. There's always I don't know if you experience this, but I do as a woman, especially when I was younger and had roommates, which is that there's always that one person that's holding everyone up. And we're like, come on, we got to get the party moving. And they're still getting their makeup and hair done. And that is how I feel about the National League wildcard race, where I want this trade market to open up. I want fire sales. I want a million options for the Mariners. And the NL is keeping it very, very, very tight. And I am not happy about that. So what could potentially maybe break the market open? What do you think it means for the Mariners, that there may be fewer sellers? How are you kind of looking at it for them? And especially when it comes to potentially maybe being aggressive, which we're all hoping that they are.
Yeah, they definitely should be aggressive. The Mariners, again, have a team that could win a World Series. Even this year, as bad as it looks right now, you can change things. Look at the Braves, for example, in 2021. They completely redid their outfield. They acquired 4 players that were all significant contributors to the team, and they were 500-ish in mid-August of that season. But they acquired Eddie Rosario. He was clutch as can be, and Jock Peterson, and Jorge Soler was a monster, obviously, and there's one more name I'm forgetting. I think it's Duvall. But anyway, for them, I would look to follow a similar format there. So what should Mariners fans be rooting for right now? Long losing streaks in July from National League fringe wildcard contenders, so that they sell and that it opens up the trade market more for you, so that you're not just making phone calls to the same 5-ish teams. The Rockies don't have a lot to sell. They often don't sell it. The Marlins don't have a good offense. There's maybe a bat or two that you could pry there because, the pitching's not the problem here. Again, the White Sox, everyone's calling. So you're looking for those fringe teams, Stacey. Like, the Diamondbacks are 500. The Mets are a game under 500. The Giants are 3 games under 500. Like, start going down the line here. Reds, Nationals. Like, you want those teams to fall apart. Cubs are in a bad spot. You want that to continue. Like, maybe there's a phone call for a Cody Bellinger who could have a big second half. And obviously you don't skip a beat on defense, which I know is very important to the org at all times as well. So that's what you're rooting for. Root for losing from the right teams. Okay. So for example, I'll just throw a random example out. If the Giants or the Cubs are playing the Rockies or the Marlins, you're rooting hard for the Rockies and the Marlins so that other teams fall off and there is more activity at this trade deadline.
You got me wondering. Give me some of those names that you said you got for possible trade situations for the Mariners.
Okay, so we'll just start looking through bats that definitely and could go. So I mentioned Bellinger. That's a big name. I'll mention Luis Robert. That's a big name. I know he hasn't had the best year, but he's really talented. I think he needs a change of scenery as well. So that's a big one for you. Christian Walker's a big bat, could get moved depending on which way Arizona goes. I actually don't think Arizona is going to end up selling. I think they're going to have a pretty decent next few weeks. Taylor Ward, although I saw a report from Bob Nightingale that they might hold on to him, that would be a crime to Angels fans because he's only got 1 season left after this. That's a very professional, great hitter to add to a ball club. Looking through here at what else could be available, maybe a Conforto from the Giants gives us some pop. Actually, has had a pretty nice year. A Lane Thomas, which is a controllable bat as well. So I know it's not the biggest names in the world, but these are productive, well above average offensive players, who have, I don't know what the number is right now for the Mariners, but they probably don't have many players who have an OPS plus and league average is 100. It's not a very complicated statistic to understand in terms of what the final number is. You want that number, of course, to be as high above 100 as possible. The Mariners, I don't know how many they have, but probably not many, maybe 1 or 2. And everybody I'm mentioning here is above that line. So if you want to talk big, Michael and Stacey, that you could start talking about someone like a Vladdy Jr. as well. I do think the Blue Jays will be selling. I just don't know if they'll go that far. So I've said some decent names, and I'd love to see the Mariners get at least 2 of those bats.
Scott Braun is host of Foul Territory, and Foul Territory should be a regular part of your baseball listening. We use highlights from interviews and information all the time. It's such a good show. You can check it out on YouTube or wherever you get your pods with insiders Ken Rosenthal, AJ Przinsky, Trevor May, who we love, Todd Frazier, many more big leaguers bringing it daily for MLB player interviews and real talk reaction to what's happening in baseball. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Great to talk to both of you. And lastly, Trevor will be with us. We'll be all over All-Star coverage. We have our own draft show that we'll do the whole deal. So just look us up on YouTube. Trevor's going to be out there with us in Texas. So he'll be on all the shows. And thank you so much for the shout out. And Mariners fans, stay strong.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you so much. We'll be checking it out. All right, some quick Mariners news before we get to 4 Down Territory. Good news, actually. Gregory Santos has been reinstated from the 60-day IL, so you will see him out there coming out of that bullpen. Emerson Hancock has been optioned to AAA Tacoma. Let's get to 4 Down Territory.
This is 4 Down Territory, going inside the game. What former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, Matt Eberflus is the betting favorite to be Coach of the Year in 2024. Who do you think can rival him?
Eberflus, if he gets this thing, that means that Caleb Williams is going to do exactly what I don't think he's going to do and ball out and take this team into the playoffs. I said it before, I think Caleb is going to have a decent year. I think he'll throw a bunch of interceptions. He'll look like a rookie quarterback, but you will see the potential in that young man. The only coach who should be up for this thing, if it were to go down, is a guy who's going to be responsible for turning around one of the worst defenses in the league last year, and that is Mr. Mike McDonald.
Let's go.
The Seahawks, 371 yards they gave up last year, 3rd worst in the game, right in front of the Bengals and the Commanders. You have to think with all the change that has happened here in Seattle, with Pete Carroll being gone, the whole squad is out of there. You got Ryan Grubb over here as well, working that offense, a whole bunch of new faces. Man, if they turn this thing around and are extremely competitive and compete for the division, get into the playoffs, Mike McDonald has to be in that conversation. I don't see the Chicago Bears making the playoffs. And because of that, Eberflus cannot be the NFL Coach of the Year. So it's going to the 36-year-old Mike McDonald, but Eberflus, he has an opportunity, though. He does have talent over there.
Do you think people are way too high on the Bears or fairly high? Because when I look at them, I go, okay, I get it. We all get on the hype train of some kind of team, right? When the Niners traded for Jimmy G, I remember an NFL Network special about, like, when's going to be his first loss? Wow, this is really special. Like, there's always a couple teams that we pick every single year just as NFL consumers, and we decide to be really excited. On the other hand, when I look at the Bears, I see, like, a top 10 wide receiver. I see the best quarterback available. I see a team that, really, really is going to be going after it. I don't know. It's intriguing to me. Do you think there's way too much hype?
I think there's the right amount of hype. And I think that if you are a Chicago Bears supporter, you should be extremely excited about what could happen with this team. But it's a rookie quarterback. I know C.J. Stroud got everybody drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking that you can come out, hit the league, and be that guy.
All you have to do is succeed right away, Bob. It's not complicated.
That's all you got to do at the hardest position in sports. That's all you have to do. It's all good. No, I think it's the right amount. But I think that once the season gets going and we kind of see who they are on the football field, we'll have a better idea. I just think that he's a rookie. He'll struggle a bit.
Second down. We had to establish a new rule of the show because rule number 1 of the show, Curtis, is what?
Do it for the clout.
Do it for the clout. Rule number 2 was give Reggie back his Heisman, but then he got his Heisman, so we had to change it to don't pocket watch. Pro Football Network is pocket watching, though. They are a rule violator, and they are pocket watching a Seahawk. They think he's overpaid. Who is that Seahawk, and do you agree?
Yeah, they're talking about our guy, Leonard Williams. And I looked up his stats. I go to Spot Track, Spo Track, whatever you call it. What do you call that?
I say Spot Track, but I think I'm wrong. But you should do it because I do it. So solidarity.
All right, Spot Track
Thank
for sure.
you.
All right, so I look him up, and they got him listed as a DN. And I go, okay, let's look at these other DNs who've been balling. Obviously, Max Crosby, 14.5 sacks, 23 TFLs. You got Carl Granderson over there with New Orleans, 8.5 sacks. You got Jonathan Grenard as well, 13 sacks. I'm sorry, I think I jacked Grenard, whatever. 13 sacks, 15 TFLs, and I go, yeah, if you compare him to those dudes, he probably is overpaid because he ain't getting sacks like that. They got him listed as a DM. I had to go back and watch a bunch of film and make sure I wasn't tripping. I go, he plays a 3-tech. He's an interior defensive lineman. Once you do that, then I found his comp in Quentin Williams. Quentin Williams is getting paid 4 years, $96 million, $24 million average, 5.5 sacks, 1 TFL. That's right up his alley. 3 years, Leonard Williams. 3 years, $64 million, 5.5 sacks. That's it right there. So I don't think he's overpaid. I think he's paid appropriately, and the team values him at that. So that's what it is. I'm starting to question Pro Football Network when I go, are y'all looking at him as a DM? Because if you are, then okay, he's not producing the way that those guys do. But for him being a 3-tech, take on the double teams, get in the backfield, get a sack or 2 here and there, just keep your linebackers clean. I think he's good, not overpaid. Stop hating.
Third down. You saw a list that made you mad. Tell me about it.
Yeah, this list is it's crazy because it's not ridiculous because there are names on this list that belong there.
Sure.
But it's ridiculous because someone isn't on there. The top 30 greatest college football players of all time.
Okay.
Number 1, you got Herschel Walker. I ain't mad at you. Archie Griffin, back-to-back Heisman Trophy guy. Barry Sanders, now I'm just bouncing around. Barry Sanders, Vince Young, Bo Jackson, Dorsett, Ricky Williams, O.J. Simpson. Colt McCoy's on this list. Reggie Bush is not on this dang list.
That's unforgivable.
Which blows my mind. He got his Heisman back. Can we get over this already? All right, got his Heisman back. He's good to go. Reggie Bush, one of the most electric players I've ever seen in my life. Now, listen, I've watched film of everyone on this list. Randy Moss, Charles Woodson, Ernie Davis, everybody. I know these guys. And Reggie Bush is just as good as anyone on this list. So whoever put this list together, you should be ashamed of yourself. Fix this list. Put Reggie on it. He already got his Heisman back. We good.
What's the outlet?
It's
I'm gonna look up who this
College
author
Football
is.
Alerts.
College Football Alerts. I need to find this.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
Who? Fourth down. I saw a tweet from Casey Sadler that made me laugh. He said, I have a whole new respect for baseball fans after sitting in the stands and paying $18 for 1 beer. And it made me think that there are a lot of people that went through college, maybe spent time in the pros or spent a long time in the pros, who knows, and then they didn't really experience sports as a fan until they retired or until they stepped away, minus being a kid, right? And then it made me think, I know someone who played in college and in the pros, Michael Bumpus. And I'm curious, what did you realize switching to watching the game in the stands that you never realized as a player?
It used to get loud at Martin Stadium. I didn't realize how loud it really was until I was in the stands and how rowdy people really get. Like, I seen dudes blacked out on a Saturday. Well, I don't know how, looking like Weekend at Bernie's walking around. I go, it gets this crazy? In the stands, it was nuts. And then I went to a Seahawks game when I was done, and I went up to the 300 level where the real fans are at, right up top, 300 level. One, they got to fix the 300 level. It's too tight in there. Give people some space to walk around. But it's nuts. I mean, I saw fights. I'm like, this is supposed to be Seattle. I thought our fans were enthusiastic, but a bit more calm with their behavior.
Yeah.
So that blew my mind. I didn't realize how crazy it was in the stands.
You saying for Martin Stadium or for
both? Martin Stadium and Lumen.
Because I was like, for Martin Stadium, I would expect all kinds of rowdiness.
I knew it was hype, but not like that. Like, it was. I was appalled.
I will say, I've never been in the stands at Martin Stadium. I've watched the Apple Cup from a press box, and that's the only time I've been to Martin Stadium. I know. Well, I was working. I didn't go to
a Coup game.
I didn't go to Wazoo.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was for Apple Cup.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I've never been out in the stands, but my gut tells me if it's anything like the bars around Pullman that it gets pretty wild.
I didn't realize it. It was crazy.
I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah. So big ups to all you fans that support your teams, because you guys create that atmosphere for sure.
We are going to take a break from baseball and talking about this Mariners offense for the last 30 minutes. We just need a reprieve. We just need a break from it. So here's what we're going to do. At 1:45, we're answering any question you have. Send your questions in for a fun segment, What I Need to Know. 866-979-3776. Before we get to that, the NFL is changing when it comes to one position. That's next.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
I don't think that it is unrealistic to believe that they have the talent and the ability to win a championship with this team.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Their DNA remains intact. This is a rotation-dependent team.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Motorcycle riders, Bob Stelton here. I love this time of year. The weather's nice. I'm out on the bike as often as possible. And knock on wood, I've never been in an accident. But maybe you have. And if you have, you need to call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. First of all, your case evaluation is completely free. They don't get paid until you get paid. And they should be the first call you make after a motorcycle accident. And I'll tell you why. Because they fight for you, the motorcycle rider, and your family to get you the compensation you deserve. With over 20 years of experience, they're going to handle your case with the respect and dignity you deserve. The insurance company wants to get away with paying out the lowest settlement they can as quickly as they can. With the Law Tigers, you don't have to handle your motorcycle case alone. So why should you hire Law Tigers after an accident? They can help you get your motorcycle and gear repaired or replaced. Law Tigers knows how important your motorcycle is to you, so after you've been in an accident, give them a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, that's 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless. Now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
Are you still using allergy pills and sprays to treat your allergy attacks? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, snoring, facial pain are just a few of the sinus symptoms we can help you out with. From allergy workups and treatments to modern nasal breathing procedures to advanced outpatient balloon sinuplasty, we can diagnose and treat your problems. Let us help you get relief easily, quickly, and permanently. Find us in Federal Way or Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. From factory maintenance, AC, brakes, tune-ups, to oil changes, wiper blades, and tire rotation. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto Repair. Carefree summer driving. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the Buc-ee's near you.
Riverside Roofing LLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to Riverside Roofing LLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Two things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV: choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
You're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Get your questions in for What I Need to Know. Any questions, send it to the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. First, we're going to have an NFL conversation. Our only one of the day, really. We've been so heavy Mariners offense talk today. Lots of great guests, lots of great insight, but I think we need a reprieve because this offense is tough to watch and we need a little break. So let's talk about a changing position in football. Jeremy Fowler, Bump, just released a column today, and it's looking at the top 10 running backs in 2024. He polled executives, coaches, and scouts. Then as part of this conversation, he also talked about how the running back position's changing, and I know that you also have a take on this. So first, do you want to guess who the scouts, executives, and coaches polled as the best running back?
We know who the best running back is.
Who is it?
It's that guy from Colorado, Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, it's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
His lowest ranking was 4, which is wild to me. I'm like, who put what coach, scout, or executive put 3 running backs ahead of Christian McCaffrey?
It was some guy who played defense in the 90s and couldn't tackle his dad at receiver. That's what it was.
I was a little surprised at number 2. Do you want to guess?
You're surprised at number 2?
I was surprised. Meaning he's young.
What's the kid from Miami? HN?
No, but it's a good guess. Another young guy.
All right, another young guy. Williams from the Rams?
Breece Hall.
Really?
Number 2.
Okay.
It was his highest ranking. Some people had him unranked. Last year, he was just an honorable mention. I think the expectation is with the improvements for the Jets' offensive line, that their run game, that they'll be run heavy, and also that this run game will just be stellar. I think there are really high expectations for what the Jets are going to do on the ground.
And Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers be tossing the ball everywhere.
If Nick Chubb can stay healthy, I'm sure he'd be great. He's on this list. Saquon Barkley now with the Eagles also on here. Jonathan Taylor out of Indy rounds out the top 5. Chubb was number 3.
Okay, so go through 5 for me real quick.
Okay. Let me go back. So Christian McCaffrey, number 1. I literally had to check and make sure because Nick Chubb was on here. I was like, wait, this was released today, right? Yes. Christian McCaffrey, number 1. Number 2, Breece Hall. And I do think the Jets are going to have a great run game.
I do too.
Number 3, Nick Chubb. Obviously, it's complicated. You're waiting to see if he can be healthy, but this article says he's been the game's best pure rusher when he is healthy.
Facts.
So TBD. Saquon Barkley, number 4. Lowest ranking he got was 10. Jonathan Taylor, number 5.
No D. Henry, huh?
D. Henry is number 9.
Really? Him in Baltimore, I think, is going to allow him to tap into something else. He said himself that it's nice not being the center of attention. You got Lamar Jackson over there. That is going to be the deadliest backfield in NFL history. Mark my words, they're both going to go for 1,000 yards rushing.
Ken Walker did get an honorable mention. I'm not surprised that he's not in the top 10. I don't know how many people would have him ranked in the top 10. I mean, you look at all the talent around the league and you go, well, God, not only do you have Derrick Henry in there. At number 9, Jahmyr Gibbs had a solid season with the Lions, who are probably going to be a better team this year overall. Josh Jacobs now with the Packers. You're going to see what he does. Bijan Robinson had flashes of brilliance with Atlanta, who now finally have a quarterback to open up that offense. I can absolutely see the case for every single pick in the top 10. I think what I'm curious to talk about is not just what we think of the top 10. Both of us are fine with number 1. Other guys we'd probably move around a little bit. But about how the position overall is changing, because what I asked you during the break was, hey, do you think Ken Walker has like what it takes to be one of those top 5, top 10 guys?
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think he's gonna need to put out that type of production. I think the NFL is going to lean towards a committee at the running back spot. You already look at, say, the Detroit Lions, they got Gibbs and Montgomery. Say you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers with Najee Harris and Jalen Ward. I think that it's advantageous for these guys to take some carries off of these dudes, man. Now, the workhorses like Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, kind of like I don't want to call them old school because they're still young, but just the earlier generation, I guess.
Old school approach to running.
Yeah, those guys are going to require, 250, 280 carries per season. But I'm looking at just the nature of the position. Because you're going to have so many multiple type of running backs, right? I look at, say, the receiver position, and typically you want a big outside receiver at the X spot, a skinny, faster dude at the Z spot, and then your shifty guy in the slot. The running back position, I feel like, is trending in that direction because we see teams with a 1,000-yard rusher, a 400-yard rusher, a 500-yard rusher. They're mixing it up. And I think it should go that way. If the Seahawks can get Ken Walker and Charbonnet going, and you can say Charbonnet had 108 touches last year for 462, and then Ken Walker had 219 for 905. I mean, if you can just get those two going 1-2 combo, you save miles on the body. You create some longevity when it comes to that position. I think that's the way that the league is going, and that the way that it should go. Because we're seeing running backs, man, only put together really 3 or 4 good years, and they fall off after that. So, no, I like the idea. I think Ken Walker has the ability to be a top 5, top 10 dude if you give him 300 touches a year. But I don't think you need to do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top rushing teams. This is in complete rushing yards per game from 2023. And there are some in here where you go, oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, San Francisco, 138 rushing yards per game. Christian McCaffrey, a huge part of that with, I think, was he the rushing leader?
Who's that?
Total touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, I think, in yardage rushing leader.
Yardage rushing leader for sure. And then when it came
touchdowns might have
to
been
touchdowns, it was Mostert. Yep, 18.
But then there are some other teams in here where you go, who's their leading rusher? Like, is this like a committee approach? Like, here are the top, I'll go 7 teams in terms of rushing yards per game. Baltimore, Chicago, Arizona, San Francisco, Buffalo, Detroit, Miami. a lot of these teams did not have one workhorse.
Miami has 2.
Yep.
San Fran, we all know what's going on there. Christian run the show. Detroit Lions have 2. The Buffalo Bills have, I believe they have 2
Josh
as well.
Allen, a huge part of that.
Yeah,
too.
Josh
Same
Allen's big of
same
that.
with Arizona and Baltimore, as their quarterbacks are a huge part. But
Yeah.
still, that's like you said, it's being able to spread it around a little bit, and you don't know how many years we're gonna not only see a Derrick Henry, but need your running back to be that.
No, I think and I think as the years go on, there's this generation right now. They're 10, 11, 12 years old, and they're looking at what running backs are getting paid and how long they play. And I think they're going to shift towards the wide receiver spot because they're the ones getting paid. And then you just look at the nature of the position, like the type of running backs. I think if Derrick Henry was growing up in today's game, he'd probably be a defensive end. He wouldn't be a running back just because the way the game is changing. So I think we're going to see smaller, quicker running backs, and a lot of those big boys are going to go on the defensive side, and a lot of players are going to the wide receiver spot. So youngsters out there, defensive back. That's the position. You go to these camps, there's 300 receivers, 100 defensive backs. Go play DB.
Anyways, interesting stuff from Jeremy Fowler this morning. If you've got the ESPN app, it's going to be in there on the NFL news section. All right, get your questions in for What I Need to Know, 866-979-3776.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
I'm just sort of marveling at the lack of belief in this team. Not that the Seahawks should be considered a top 5 team. I'm not making that case at all, but there seems to be a really dim view of what this team's going to be. First of all, what was their record last year, Bob? They were 9-8 with a bad defense. So we all assume that the defense is going to be at least somewhat improved. How much, we'll find out. And the offense is bringing back almost the same cast. I don't see them getting worse.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Do you have a car you're thinking of selling? You want to get the most money for it, but you probably don't want to deal with the hassle of selling it yourself. Meeting some stranger in a store parking lot after work so they can test drive your car and negotiate on a price? No, thank you. So here's why you should sell your vehicle to my friends at Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They have a program that pays top dollar for your car. You get that money up front, but it gets even better after that. Because when Wayscar Ford resells your old car, they split the profit 50-50 with you. Why? The money they save on auction buy fees, transportation costs, and travel expenses allows them to offer this program. They'd much rather split that money with you, the customer, rather than outside services. But are they going to offer you less? No. In fact, they encourage you to shop and compare, but in virtually every case, Wayscar Ford's been able to match or beat competitor offers. So if you're looking to sell your car, make sure you do it at Wayscar Ford in Auburn and get paid twice for it.
I juggle a lot. And managing constipation with belly pain from my irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, with laxatives and fiber isn't enough. My doctor recommended a way to get ahead of it. Then I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Hey, Brock Heward here, and I have had my share of sports injuries, and I know a little bit about pain. Well, that's what football will do to you from head to toe. But you don't have to play professional sports to know what I'm talking about. Painful joints from arthritis can affect anyone and make it hard to do pretty much anything. Well, that's where my friend, Dr. Daniel Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine comes into play. He has seen so many patients through the years suffering from chronic joint pain caused by arthritis. So don't let pain stop you from your quality of life. Don't let pain stop you from enjoying life. Consider Dr. Nelson the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. That's right, your own stem cells and platelet-rich plasma to harness your own body's healing potential. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit danielnelsonmd.com. That's danielnelsonmd.com.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kid kind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures using a person's own stem cells to regenerate cartilage in their own joints. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone, are back doing what they enjoy without pain and without surgery. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here. Just want to brag, if you don't mind, about my guys for a sec at Riverside Roofing, because they just closed a multi-million-dollar roofing project on the east side, and I'm just incredibly proud. But to be honest, not at all surprised. It speaks to the trust and the reputation that Riverside Roofing's established throughout this market with exceptional work, honesty, and just positive word of mouth. Riverside Roofing can handle any roof, any job. I've seen it with my own two eyes when they worked on my project at my house. Riverside Roofing are also certified Tesla roof installers. So go to riversideroofingllc.com and get a free quick quote on your roofing project within just 60 seconds. Don't wait, because right now is the busy season for roofers, and you're going to want to get your project scheduled while there's still time. Consider Riverside Roofing for your roofing project this summer. They're family owned. They serve all of Western Washington. Ask for a veteran's discount as well, and even a referral bonus. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's What I Need to Know, brought to you by Cookies Country Chicken. Get your questions in now, any question. Mac and Jack's text line 866-979-3776. What I need to know, I'm having lunch at the park, and the guy parked a few spots over is also listening to your show. Should I go over and start talking to him?
Yeah, you should. But what you listening to?
Yeah, but it's nice because we're talking about right now. Do you think they're looking at each other right now, trying to figure out?
Look to your left, look to your right.
Turn up the radio so you can find the other person. Do it.
Make
so
eye contact right now.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, go over and be friends. What I hope is that the guy who's also listening, not the one who texted it in, is like, stop staring at me. I'm with the guy just trying to make friends. Go hang out. It's beautiful outside. Go talk some baseball. Hopefully have some fun doing it, though. What I need to know. My wife's sister-in-law, my sister-in-law and her husband are filing for divorce. To be maybe too honest, he's been my favorite thing about her. Legit, her better half. Is it bad form if I stay friends with him?
And it's her sister's?
His wife's sister. So his sister.
The husband of his wife's sister.
Yeah, I think you gotta chill.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think you can hang out at each other's. I don't think he can ever come over to your house.
Nah.
Could he secretly be like on your fantasy football team, that kind of thing?
For sure. I'm in a fantasy league where there was an ex in the league for a while.
Ooh, that's complicated.
Yeah.
I think if it's just like, hey, it's a divorce, no one hates anyone, it just didn't work out, maybe there's some leniency there.
Which is rare.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, think of it as an allegiance to your wife, unless you're sister-in-law. Your wife is put in a weird spot if her husband is friends with her sister's ex-husband. Like, her sister is going to go to her and say, why is so-and-so still hanging out with Tommy or whoever?
Yeah.
I don't know. So think of where the spot you're putting your wife in by doing that. Although,
if your wife says it's okay, then
yeah,
I think it's fine.
I think it's fair to ask her, if it's something where she'll kind of get it too.
Yeah.
If she's like, yeah, I know my sister's kind of the worst.
You can ask.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with asking.
Is our consensus maybe no, though, that like the friendship might have to end?
Either end or change dramatically.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's
a
not gonna look
bummer.
good.
I'm sorry
It's
you
not gonna
lost
look
your
like how it
friend.
used to.
Yeah, sorry, man. What I need to know. My wife and I welcomed our first child yesterday. Just to clear up any confusion, is this a consignment?
For life. It's a life consignment.
That is
got it now.
definitely consignment.
What I need to know, Bump, how nervous were you about Stacy embarrassing you at the cookout?
You know what? I was nervous until I realized her other Derek is well-versed in the community. So it made me feel a lot better about her being in that situation.
That's a good. You had faith in Derek, but not in me.
Not faith in you, but, Derek could just hit you on the shoulder and be like, no. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Give you the unspoken communication.
Let's see. What I need to know. My question is, will the Houston Astros be tied with us for first place when they come to town?
When they come into town?
First series after the All-Star break.
Okay, so by the start of the series
Mariners have
back.
6 games left.
I'm going to say, yeah.
So they're two
against
up.
the Padres, 4 against the Angels.
So you're
Two
counting
up
on the
on the
Mariners
Astros.
not winning their next 2 series.
They haven't given me enough to really believe. I think they have it in them to take care of business,
Yes.
but I got to see it.
Also, not a hitter-friendly park.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Curtis, what did you say the series was after San Diego?
4 against the Angels. I mean,
Not a good team this year.
yeah, but it's on the road.
Don't matter. I got to see it.
I think they'll still be up on Houston.
Half a game.
Yeah. And if not, I'll be very upset.
Yep.
What I need to know. What's the best popsicle flavor? We have some hot weather questions.
I mean, my favorite, is it a popsicle? A strawberry shortcake? I mean, it's
That's more of an ice cream bar, right?
Okay, ice cream
that's different
bar.
than
But
a
the
popsicle.
popsicle flavors like cherry, orange, grape, raspberry,
Lime.
Cherry all day.
lemon, lime.
Cherry.
Yeah, I'll tell you the least.
I'm going grape.
Orange is as long as the answer isn't orange.
Orange is bomb, too.
Orange is
it's
the worst
not.
flavor of anything to exist on the planet.
You don't like
with
orange
the
Gatorade?
exception
I
of
don't
orange
mind
soda.
like
no.
orange soda.
You like orange Gatorade?
The best Gatorade is the white one that's cherry flavored.
No.
Yes.
The best
Yes.
grape is, or the best Gatorade is grape flavor.
The best Gatorade is the
No.
frost, the blue, the light blue.
That's fine. I'll accept that answer. However, I will not accept orange. Orange is just not a good flavor. It's fine. It's fine. I love a mimosa. It's not it when it comes to desserts.
Artificially flavored orange, not great. Artificially flavored orange cream, now that's
Fantastic.
good.
Yeah, that's bomb.
What's your favorite and least favorite part about this kind of weather? It's going to be 90 degrees for like the first couple days.
Sweating.
Yeah,
Just all day.
I would wear a hoodie every day if I could. I just love hoodies and I can't do it. And here I should
Fair.
though, because I'm cold right now.
Let's see what I need to know. Oh, thank you. Stacy's right. White Gatorade. I don't know what I call it. White Gatorade. It's the
That's
best.
probably what it's called though.
No, it's what is it? It's specifically, I think this flavor is only Gatorade Zero, and it's the white one, and it's cherry. But I don't think it's called like freeze or something. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But it's the best one. I get that every single time I'm sick. What I need to know, related to a question earlier, how long do we actually think the Astros are going to stay hot? There's no way in my mind they keep this up the rest of the season.
No, they're not going to keep it up the rest of the season. There's a lot of baseball to be played. It's about the little spurts, you know?
Yeah.
The little spurts. I think they're in a spurt right now.
But I do think it's important to keep in mind because I think there's some all hope is lost type mindsets right now. And Houston's not going to keep playing at this clip. Like, they might win the West. I hope they don't, but they might.
Mm-hmm.
They're also not as good a team as they have been the last couple years.
No,
That's
definitely
just
not.
true.
Yeah. But the whole division's down, honestly.
Yeah.
Worst division in baseball.
Yeah. What I need to know. Someone said it's Glacier Cherry. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Someone said, fine, Caucasian Gatorade. Get different questions in. 866-979-3776. Hi, Bump and Stacy. Like your show. Best Seattle sports show. Just like hearing you guys. Thank you. Anyways, wondering if Bump, this is for you, will watch the new Netflix series Receivers coming out soon since he's been a receiver himself.
Most definitely I'm watching that thing. I watched the QB one, so I got to watch the receivers. something tells me it's going to be more entertaining than QB.
I have my bachelor party this weekend in Suncadia, says another listener.
Nice.
3 rounds of golf and partying at night. Bump and Curtis. What did you guys do for your bachelors? Anything I absolutely have to do?
I probably did the same thing you're doing. I went to a resort, played some golf, drank with the boys, woke up, did it about 2 more times, and then drug myself home to the wife. Or the potential, or the future wife.
That's the way to go.
I got married in the height of COVID, so
yeah.
I didn't really get a bachelor's party or a bachelor. Yeah, I was brainstorming maybe going to the MLB All-Star game that year because it was like a month before our original wedding date, but everything got shut down. There was no baseball. There was nothing.
Yeah.
For the entire year of 2020.
God, it's so weird to think back to that. We were really talking about the Korean Baseball League, and I think we had regular shows talking about Last Dance.
Oh, yeah. Anytime an episode of Last Dance came out, we would do instant reaction like the next day.
Last one. Found out a girl I was interested in having something with is with another guy. What should I do next?
It's
you got to walk
official?
away
Like,
with your head held high.
That's her boy. I mean, like.
I think it's like he found
Is there
out
any
he was the
labels?
other guy.
Oh, he was the side
That's
piece?
what it sounds like.
It's a wrap,
Maybe.
homie.
Yeah, you got to walk away. You got to walk
DM
away.
her best friend. Just playing.
Stop it. All right, that'll do it for us today. For Michael Bumpus, Curtis Rogers, Matt Nelson, I'm Stacey Rost. Wyman and Bob coming up next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
I'm just sort of marveling at the lack of belief in this team. Not that the Seahawks should be considered a top 5 team. I'm not making that case at all, but there seems to be a really dim view of what this team's going to be. First of all, what was their record last year, Bob? They were 9-8 with a bad defense. So we all assume that the defense is going to be at least somewhat improved. How much, we'll find out. And the offense is bringing back almost the same cast. I don't see them getting worse.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise in the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s, it's not that they couldn't function, they just needed help. They started taking Viagra, and it worked great at first. But after a few years, it stopped working. The problem is that their arteries had become more restricted since they started taking it, because Viagra does not unclog arteries. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we use acoustic wave therapy to target the real problem. We break down plaque and clear up the arteries so blood can flow like it did in your 20s. This restores function. And guys, listen to this. You won't have to take a pill anymore. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519